All right. We're back. And Jared Taylor has some fans. Or at least his ideas have some fans, you know.
You're right, Lloyd.
Yes. Harry?
Harry.
Of course. I'm Jim Carrey, though.
Whatever, man. I'll be the guy that has the pseudo intellectual movie about the political thing. America's not the greatest country anymore.
I'll be the guy that says it's all nothing. So I can be completely wrong and it'll mean nothing. Alright, so Jared Taylor did an interview on ABC News. This is one of them, at least. And I have no idea what he's going to talk about. But we're going to critique each point.
Pigment. Mere pigment. Blah, 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 blah.
Forgive our intelligence level. And we'll forgive you for not understanding metaphysical ideas.
I don't want this to last too long, man. You know, I gotta wake up early tomorrow. Kindergarten starts tomorrow. Yeah.
With a shaved beaver, naked mole rat. Shout out to Sick Ill for naked mole rat. Alright, let's do this.
Jabba the Hutt.
Hey everybody, welcome to Uncomfortable, where the goal is to have honest and unflinching conversations about the issues that seem to divide us as Americans. I'm Amna Navas. Each week we're going to feature a one-on-one interview with a special guest to learn more about what they believe and also why they believe what they do. With me today is Jared Taylor, the founder of the New Century Foundation and American Renaissance, its associated publication. Mr. Taylor, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
It's fair to say you focus your work on race, on racial issues, mostly in America, specifically around the issue of white pride, as you call it. Is that accurate?
Well, white pride is not an expression I frequently use.
What is that? How do you characterize your work?
It can be divided into two areas. One is race realism. And race realism is a recognition that race is a biological fact. It's a phenomenon. It's not some sort of sociological construct, which is the trendy way of viewing things.
Just for a quick note, I don't look at race as just a socially created thing. I think there's a biological component just based on the geographical origins of the person.
That's it.
Of the ancestry and shit like that. I think the guy who commented thought that we were saying that. It's no reason to call us dumb, okay?
You're right, Lloyd. You're very right.
It's fucking right, Harry. Okay.
No, it's part of biology, and it's also part of individual and group identity. And society.
No.
And that's where we're gonna.
No.
That's where we're gonna be like. Actually, what's kind of funny is that there's
It's like. It's also part of individual. What do you say specifically? Individual what? Group and identity. Something like
group
that?
identity.
Yeah, it's like. No.
There's actually what I think might be the best rap beef we've had in a while, and it's actually two white guys. See, they're hip hop culture, not black culture. If blacks try to own hip hop, they're dumb as fuck.
You said it, not me.
It's hip hop culture.
It is hip hop culture.
With a naked beaver, naked mole rat. Alright.
Societies ignore the importance of biology and group identity at their peril. The other aspect of my work is white advocacy. That is, we speak for the interests of whites as a group. Every other racial group in the United States has organizations, publications, even congressional caucuses that look out for their interests, and whites should have the same thing.
I should.
Okay, now he's not blatantly saying we're like this and they're like that behaviorally, but he's saying that in like a from the side of his mouth. He's basically saying that we need representation too because we're different. We are different humans because your biology dictates who you are.
That's false.
Now, if you can't see our last video why we were arguing the way we were, it's because we can see that underpinning point. He's not blatantly saying it, but he's saying it. With a shaved beaver, naked mole rat.
So, yes, race realism and white advocacy are my business.
It's fair to say you believe your white identity and the identity of many white Americans is under attack.
It's obviously under attack. Whites are...
Okay, this guy probably has no idea what identity is.
Well, let's be fair and use his terms. Otherwise, we'll be considered as not understanding what he's saying. When normally what we do is we just hop over the dumb points and go right to the...
I'm just being fair here. There's what he's going to probably... what he uses the... Whenever he says identity and how he uses it, he means this. Versus true identity.
That's...
An individual truth.
That's the separation between real and fake.
That's what I mean.
There's, I identify with a group. Now, you may not realize it, but you're egotistically creating that in your mind, and you're conditioning yourself to fall into this group and act this way. It's not a genetic fucking thing.
I can say something real, it's like this.
Do you want it on? Do you want to hear genetics affecting behavior? White guy, black guy. If we both stand out in the sun for a long time, he's gonna burn the fuck up.
I might tan him first, I mean.
I'll probably suffer after a while too, but at the same time, like that creates the behavior of I better get sunscreen or I better go inside. It's not a who you are type of thing.
No, it isn't.
It's a guy who's I'm 5'2". It's like maybe I shouldn't guard against a 7-footer in basketball.
We go back to the hip hop thing, right?
That affects his behavior,
Yeah.
but it doesn't dictate who he is.
It's like, I'm white, so that must mean I probably identify with rock music and country. And then I hear rap music. Like, seriously, hear it, but then I listen to it. I'm like, fuck, I like this shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Do we need to slow down? Or
What I am does not involve, well, this is the color of your skin, this is where you're from, this is your race. I don't identify with those things, Doesn't mean I can't have culture with it, right? Irish heritage doesn't mean I don't identify with anything like that, But it doesn't equal or equate to who I am, my identity as an individual. Absolutely not. And this guy's conjoining the two. That's my problem. That's my beef.
with a shaved beaver, naked mole rat.
That's the way you feel.
Yes, whites are supposed to feel guilty about this alleged unearned white privilege that they're supposed to be beneficiaries of. We're supposed to sort of tug our forelocks and apologize for the past. Essentially,
This I agree with Jared Taylor. That's dumb as fuck.
Well, yeah, it's are you gonna
my
pay
my great grandfather was a
ancestors'
dickhead.
your ancestors' baggage?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Doesn't mean it shouldn't be investigated, but you shouldn't be suffering for it.
It's like if I pay
What?
if I pay for my relatives being terrorists, like James, you're going to jail. I mean, I didn't do it. Like they're not here, but you're going to pay for it.
James, the individual doesn't exist, so you're just a biological accident.
Oh boy.
All right. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of his followers are religious too. Just to add more contradiction to whatever.
Whites are blamed for everything that goes wrong for non-whites, not just in the United States, but basically around the world.
So, Mr. Taylor, you've obviously written about this extensively. You've written a number of books. You host conferences on these topics. The beliefs that you hold are discredited by a number of different think tanks and academic institutions and studies. But it's fair to say that you hold these beliefs, and a number of other Americans hold these beliefs.
They've never been.
You can hear the interviewer baiting for a sound clip. See? What are they called? White supremacists. White supremacists are taking over our country. We need more power over here. Like, they're both playing the game. That's what it seems like, man.
It says hashtag uncomfortable.
Her more than him. I think she's playing the game more than he is.
ABC Radio.
Like, Jared Taylor might actually think of himself as righteous. And I respect that more than either I need a soundbite, or I need a gotcha moment, or I have a political idea and agenda in my mind that I want to see played out.
He goes back to,
I need the white racist guy to exist in order for me to justify my political standing.
And it goes back to our other videos where we talk about ignorance, corruption, and I don't like either two. I don't pick favorites. I don't play sides. But as far as ignorance, that's probably where he falls in line. And that only goes with him seriously believing, I believe I'm doing the right thing here. I respect that a whole hell of a lot more. Actually, I respect that. You know, I believe I'm doing the right thing versus I know this is wrong and I'm going to get a paycheck for this. Like, you know, I don't think so. You know what I mean? So,
I do think he'll maybe purposely not look at certain things, which could be a form of corruption. But
well, no, it is.
You know,
that's being aware of the dead body in the room, and you're still dancing in the ballroom.
Okay.
So that's stepping over the homeless guy in the street. Get a job.
Shaved beaver, naked mole rat.
Been discredited. People yell about them, but they've never been discredited.
What I'd like to do, Mr. Taylor, if you don't mind, I think it's fair to say anyone who knows anything about my work or yours can say that we come to the world with very different viewpoints. And so you have a number of platforms on which you express your views and you argue your views. And what I'm more interested in talking about today is I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change mine. What I'd like to talk about is how you came to believe what you believe to be true today, if that's all right.
Oh, sure.
To be true.
Great.
I used to be very much a racial egalitarian, probably in the mold of someone like yourself.
Well,
personally, I don't like terms like I used to be in this group, now I'm in this group, or that group, or whatever.
I used to be on the Broncos, now I'm on the Jets. It's like
T-bone. Yeah.
It's like teams, you know? It's like I leave this team to go join this team over here.
Why not try to see what is? Try to see what is. And I think if he honestly tried to do that, he wouldn't have the opinions he has.
Probably not.
Because he'd still be in the... Well, I don't know exactly.
Yeah. And be fair, what I mean by teams is like a group, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Democrat, Republican. I'm on this team, now I'm on this team. I'm a religious fundamentalist, now I'm an atheist. Ooh. Switch teams.
And let me say a point for whoever, because they always say we never make a point. I think we've clearly made points. It's
I'm not speaking their language.
Not saying it directly, blatantly. So let me say something more blatant. So his base argument is that the races are different based on genetics, and our genetics dictate our behavior.
No.
And I say with that, the only way you could possibly prove that is first you have to understand. I thought you were going to do the honk nose thing. Like, wah.
It's been awful, man. Unbelievable.
Alright, so if you're going to go with that, if if you're gonna go with genetics as your, base argument for why people act the way they act, which is essentially you saying the brain is the dictator, then you're gonna have to explain to me what the fuck is consciousness? Explain that to me. Tell me it comes from the brain. Explain it to me fully. None of the major scientists have done that before, but if you can explain that for me, please go for it. That's the only way that'll hold up this, whatever he's talking about. See, I already understood that argument when we did the last video. So when I hear him say all this shit, I'm like, you haven't done this work yet. You haven't done this work, and you're leaping out with these other things. So that's why we weren't really going point by point. Come on, argue his points.
It seems that the extensive work of philosophy has been lost.
Philosophy, psychology, it's all become rigid, hyper-masculine. It needs logic, or
Tessarian.
Logic and logic alone will solve the answer.
Who was his mentor?
Tessarian?
Yeah.
Maxwell.
Maxwell. Young.
Carl Jung.
Yeah.
Psychologist.
Mm-hmm. And who else?
There's a bunch.
I'm just saying.
Freud.
Yeah, Sigmund Freud, Alan Watts. I can keep going.
Alan Watts.
Point is,
he mentions Watts. I don't know how much of a hero he is to him.
No. I'm just saying these are guys.
Oh yeah.
These dudes probably have not even looked into their work. Anyway.
I could find a legitimate quantum physicist that believes the mind is non-local, which means it's not a location in your brain. Right?
That's what I'll say. Oh, my brain, my mind
exists outside of the brain.
It's a joke,
Yeah.
Come on, use your brain. Oh, I mean my brain, because that's a specific location. Because you're talking about my mind, myself, which means myself is my brain. No.
That's why I disseminate between the brain and the mind.
Yeah.
I call them two different things.
That's when we group terms together. That's what I believe he's doing.
Well, let's find out more.
It's like me using the truth into a false. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Shaved beaver, naked mole rat. I said that wrong. Oh, I get a second chance. Look at that. No, I said that right. Shaved beaver, naked mole rat.
Well, let's start at the beginning, if you don't mind. Because I will say, and one of the things I found about you that I think would surprise a lot of people is that you spent many of your formative years abroad. Is that right? You were raised mostly in Japan as a child? Tell me about that.
My parents were missionaries. I was born in Japan. I lived there till I was 16 years old. So
I did say the religious thing. I'm not holding any type of shit against the guy at all. Just his ideas, that's all we're trying to get at.
Sure.
the first 16 years.
Not that religion's bad. Just want to, make sure I'm as blatant as possible.
Yeah, I believe it has many things to offer.
Yeah. And I heard missionaries try to do good shit around the world. Like, we need to go to these poor places and help, or convert them.
The identity of the hero is undervalued.
Yeah. All right, onward. Naked mole rat.
Of my life, I was a racial minority, but that really didn't affect my thinking about race at all.
Wait,
my parents
I just want to back up for a second here. Because I'd like to make this a conversation, if you don't mind. And I understand you talked about this before, but there are parts of this that I just find fascinating. Because you can't have been one of many young white children.
No, we were the only honkies for miles around.
You were the only white family. So you must have stood out in school?
Of course.
Did you have any other white friends? Any friends in
No,
other...
there weren't any other white people around.
So tell me, just going back to that time in your life, because those are incredibly formative years. That's the majority of your childhood, right?
And here comes one of the problems.
It says right here, formative years.
And that's why this is how we end up.
Forgive me.
This is how we end up in these dumb fucking arguments. He thinks you're innately born with who you are based on your genetics. Or for the most part, I don't think he says entirely that. And she's speaking like it's purely behavioral. It's like no, it's not purely behavioral, or not behavioral. I mean, environmental.
So you're all alone with your race. That's how you become like this. It's like
They're both arguing for the same thing. You have no self. It's either your body dictates who you are, or it's your environment that dictates who you are. Do you see why? Like,
I'm not saying there isn't an influence.
this sparks the conspiracy thing in my mind,
For it, yeah.
where it's like they prop up the two silly arguments and they face them off against each other.
If you let it,
No one walks away with an answer because they're both like you can pick apart points from either side.
if you let it, it'll have an influence.
They all have influences,
I
but
meant, like-
influences in the section of choice.
Sure. Yeah.
And I could be born with no arms, but I have the choice to experience what I consider arms. It won't be the physical manifestation of arms, but in my mind, I can say, I can, let's say, look at another person with two arms, and I can imagine what that would feel like, and I can experience my version of arms. That's the choice. That's the genetic choice, or not. That's the behavioral choice. That's the existential choice.
I don't like this dreaming, Lloyd. Don't like it. You're dreaming again. No.
Someone might kill me for that one, but whatever.
I liked it.
It's complicated. It's hard to find words, but I know what I'm talking about.
I thought you did well.
Shaved beaver, naked mole rat.
It's where
It's my entire childhood.
it's your entire childhood. It's where, thinking back to my childhood too, that's where you start to sort of self-identify in a certain way, start to see yourself in relation to your community and to other people and to...
Okay, I didn't start to... When we really get to the roots of self-identification, to the true meaning of that,
Yeah.
at any given time, it's like, well, when you're 11, it begins. I wasn't a teenager,
Yeah.
It happened when someone's like, hey, what now? I'm like 20, 21. Someone's like, hey, what are you going to do? Huh? Basically, it's, my ideas, morals, or whatever the fuck. You can imagine them as a building, and the pillars, which, my reason for them,
Yeah.
are holding them up, and someone's like, if they're strong enough, they shouldn't collapse or anything, huh? They just fall. What I mean is, there's no, regulated time. There's no set date. It begins. The moon's in the right place. Watch as we regain our identity. No. I can understand what she means, but no.
I wanted to explain all this through a sketch because it's hard to do, directly. You almost have to use metaphor.
I am. That's why I'm using that. To identify who you are,
Well, I was gonna go with, okay. The question was, can you be born gay? And I was gonna explain it through eating cheese, just as a metaphor.
Yeah.
And it's basically saying that it's a reflective type of thing. It's yourself reflected onto the world, reflected back at you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're not there, there is no environment. If you're not there, you are not experiencing any environment.
Exactly.
If the environment's there, you're not experiencing any type of self-realization. You're just always in that whatever mode it is.
Yeah.
A fucking speck of dust is floating in the air. You have no idea what's going on. There's no environment just sitting there. There's no.
It's like purgatory.
There's no reflection for understanding yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are you without that?
what do I?
Yeah.
I put it in categories of what do I like and what do I dislike. You sort of need an environment there. You need conflict. You need choices. You need pleasure and pain. You need those dualistic principles in order to have a relationship and make choices with them. Your choices sort of reveal yourself to yourself. Right?
Again, I could bring up fucking Batman. You think Bruce Wayne knew who he was when he was 14 or 15? I don't think so.
Yes and no.
You know what I mean?
Which is why
Which
is why I try to explain it through metaphor.
I get it. But when I say it's yes and no, right? But I mean, I know. And it's that's
the ego knowing. I explain it as the self already knows, just wants to experience itself by reflecting it.
Oh, okay. Well, then when it's everything, then it's an absolute.
Yeah.
So which makes my point. He didn't. When he's Batman, or even before that, he already knew. Batman Begins. That's all I'm saying. Oh, you little nerd. Like, no, man, there's a lot of deep shit in there people don't understand. The true identity of who someone is as an individual. It's not... It happens at any given time. Any given time. You could be a fucking old man. Doesn't matter, okay? You could be 10. Who knows?
You can use something I've heard you say before as a perfect example. I think I asked you, what's your favorite song? And you're like, I don't know yet. Don't have to experience every song in order to say I have a favorite. Something to that degree.
I asked you that?
I asked you what your favorite song was or something. Favorite something. And you're like, I don't know. It's like, I can't just listen to 10 songs and stop and say, here's my favorite song. Wouldn't I have to hear all the songs that ever existed in order to say I have a favorite? That was your argument.
No, it wasn't.
That was partially your argument.
You're missing a big thing. It wasn't my favorite. It's what's the best song.
Okay, something like that. Okay, something like that.
champion.
And then, in a different argument, I referred to something as, well, you can learn, like the learning through negation, as in you know what you don't like already. It's already known what you can hear it instantly, and I can know what I don't like already. As much as that's playing the negative role of saying, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, my piece of brick here or cheese, parts I'm throwing away, now the brick that's left is starting to take shape, it's taking shape, and then there it is, there's your favorite thing or whatever. That's the self already knowing, and it needed negation.
Merely devil's advocate, I wasn't really advocating for that.
But it fits the argument perfectly.
Sure.
It's, I may not know exactly what the thing is, but I know what it's not. You're sort of getting rid of, that's the Tessarian thing, apophatic learning.
I believe that's
you learn something by learning what it's not first.
That's where it all begins,
Cutting things around the actual thing you're looking for until the thing takes shape, and then you figure out what the thing is.
The first step is...
Try figuring that shit out.
The first step is, well, I don't know. And then the paths open up. All the doors open.
No,
where you go is your choice. So.
Yeah. Once again, all this stuff gets a lot more complicated. If I had feedback and questions, I could explain this
probably
a lot better. But for now, all I got is metaphors and shit. All right, naked mole rat.
You fucked up.
I don't know why.
Come on, Lloyd.
Your community members. What was that like for you? Did you experience discrimination as a white minority there?
Sure, a certain amount of discrimination. Oh, well, I was physically larger than my classmates, and where I grew up, a man or a boy had no status at all unless he was prepared to get into fistfights. And there was some sort of credit in overpowering the larger white guy. And so I had to do a fair amount of fist fighting in order to establish my status. But that was just part of the way things worked there.
So you were physically bullied, though?
Not really. It was not so much bullying. It was just that in order to establish yourself in the pecking order, you had to be prepared to fight. And I was not going to be an utterly statusless loser, so I was prepared to fight. But don't get me wrong, I have very, very fond memories of my childhood. I made many fast friends who were friends to this day. But as the
friends with other Japanese kids?
Yes, they're all Japanese. As the only Caucasian, of course, I attracted a certain amount of attention. Some of it desirable, some of it undesirable. But I wish to emphasize that, believe it or not, this had no effect on my understanding of race. My parents were liberal. I went to a very liberal university after I left Japan, and it was only in my late 20s and 30s that I began to arrive at a dissident view of race.
Okay, I don't.
He had to fight
Shouldn't it be about?
for what was white. I mean, right. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Shouldn't it be like my parents were, correct about some things and wrong about others? Instead of my parents were liberal, they were liberal. It's like this
Well,
group
political,
setting.
political lenses,
Yeah, and they sit in this group, and then
I see.
it's like it's so easy to pick apart because you're sitting on one team on one side instead of considering
It's like,
all the
sure,
ideas.
I see things, right? Not me, figuratively speaking. When someone or I see things through a political lens and spectrum, and then I use the political terms, and then when we start, it's like mix and mashing metaphysical ideas with these political terms. It's like, well, what are we doing here?
I'm not sure they do that. Maybe it's like quasi metaphysical. He's going straight up scientific, like genetics and shit.
I mean, as far
Which
as
isn't scientific.
I mean, as
because he
far
hasn't
as
proven it.
the individual, the self. We're talking about someone, the individual, and we're gonna have to talk about the self. Then we're gonna have to talk about like who they are, And when we don't say that,
Yeah, but if you stop your argument at the individual is just based on its genetic structure or whatever.
Yeah, but it's these terms that
With, quiet environmental factors.
Sure, but
too.
if I say the individual is this, like you're leaving out a big ass chunk, man. What's
Oh,
going
for
on?
sure. But
That's why.
I think they're blind to it,
Fair enough. Yeah.
which is why they. Yeah.
What I meant was like we use these. No, I agree with you. All right, go ahead.
Naked mole rat.
Tell me about this. You mentioned your parents were liberal. What did they teach you? I know I inherited a lot of my ideas about the values of diversity and racial equality and the way the world in its ideal form would work from my parents, from my family. What did
That's not good.
I see why you picked this video. Low hanging fruit.
I inherited ideas.
Yeah. Mole rats. Naked mole rats.
Jabba the Hutt.
your parents teach you?
Their view was that race was an insignificant, if in fact a biological concept, but that we were all children of God and that it was wrong to draw any conclusions on the basis of race, and that there was no reason to think that the United States should remain a majority white country. They had utterly typical egalitarian views, as did I. And as I say, it was only as a consequence of studying these things, traveling, reading about history, reading about biology, that I came to the dissident views that I hold today.
You went on to travel. You lived in France for some time, am I right? For 3 years in Paris?
That's right.
You've also traveled in West Africa
For about a year and a half.
for about a year and a half. What were you doing there?
A vagabond.
Vagabonding.
Yes.
What does that entail?
That means hitchhiking, sleeping rough, making a bed wherever I could. My purpose in going to West Africa was to have a look around and also to speak as little English or Japanese as possible. So I spoke only French for sometimes 6 months at a time.
And you're fluent in Japanese and French today,
That's
correct?
What's your-
What did you
And,
what did you learn from your travels? You said, later in life you came to hold these views more strongly that you hold today about white identity and about the place of whites in society.
I never held those views at all until my late 20s or 30s. It wasn't a question of holding them strong, but I'll give you an example of one of my experiences. I had been in the Ivory Coast, which was very heavily colonized by the French, and it was doing extremely well. It was called Japan of West Africa because it was doing so well. Well, I went overland from Ivory Coast to Liberia, which is a neighboring country, and as soon as I crossed the border, it was just a remarkable difference. The roads were full of potholes, the buildings were tumbled down, the Ivorians were well dressed, Liberians were dressed in rags. And I went to the University of Liberia and I asked one of the students there, I said, I don't mean to be rude, but why is it that your country is such a mess and Ivory Coast is doing so well? He said, that's an easy question to answer. We didn't have the benefits of colonization. Now, that was during my first visit to West Africa, and at that time I was very merciful. I was staggered by this. I thought of colonization as some sort of exploitative undertaking, that Europeans had extracted all the juices out of these countries. For him, it was obvious. Colonization was a wonderful thing, Friday.
What? Became obvious, huh?
I mean, that's to me. This isn't a scientific point I'm making or a sociological point I'm making. Just to me, that's equal to the guy who puts a bean in his back pocket every day and throws a perfect game every time he puts a bean in his pocket. It's like, it's my magic bean. It's magic.
What's the word
That's
for it?
hold on. That's where I'm. That's where I'm going logically.
Yeah.
Logically, that's superstitious sounding.
Yeah, it's
But
placebo.
yeah. But if you consider it, if you look at it on a purely how nations evolve or revolve around each other, and you have one nation, like I said, the Ivory Coast, where they were colonized by France. So they get all of France's benefits. You know, France should have like kings that ruled a shitload of the world.
Yeah.
You know, all those benefits they had there are now bestowed upon this country and not bestowed upon this country. In fact, this other country may or may not be like in debt with some other giant Western country. I could be wrong about that.
You're always wrong.
To where they, you know, fuck those guys, they're not really with us.
It's also like, you know, 'cause look, if they were never here, you know, colonization would never have taken place, and these things we have now would have been. It's like, yeah, but we got to understand, you know, like, I don't care what happened as long as it involves tyranny. It doesn't make it okay.
Yeah, something tells me that
Does not make it in any way, shape, or form a good thing that happened. Okay.
something tells me that Liberia was probably taken advantage of in some way. I mean, say they had potholes in the roads and torn down buildings. Like, well, what caused that?
Yeah.
What caused that? Was it their neighboring country that, you know, may have was lucrative to, or you know, more attractive to certain types of people?
Yeah.
To where they're like, we'll send some support this way, but not this way.
Yeah.
Or we'll take advantage of these guys over here and help out these guys over here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll look into that. That's interesting.
It is.
At the same time, the we want colonization part that's dead fucking wrong. But whatever happened in that particular situation, I had no idea that.
Me either.
Shaved beaver, naked mole rat.
Every coast, and that's why it was doing so well. Liberia had not been colonized. It was founded by freed American slaves, and that why it was a mess.
You took away from that colonization was actually a benefit to the countries in which it was imposed.
He certainly thought so, and I thought as an African, his point of view was certainly worth considering, but it rather staggered me because I had the conventional view that colonization was not a benefit. That was just one little...
That's
Sounds pretty weak to me.
yeah.
So let me hold.
And I hate stuff like that when it's like, well, that's what he said. It's not my words. It's what this
Yeah,
guy said.
yeah.
It's like, all right, but you brought it up because you're trying to make a point
Well,
with that.
yeah, no. It's like you're brought up to support your point. Okay.
Yeah.
So the other thing is this, like what he says, like I you know, he was an African, so you know, it's like, so what?
Yeah, that story
So
didn't help
fucking
at all.
what? You know?
That story does not help his point
No,
to
keep
me.
going.
They can mold it.
Point
That
out,
was just one
I'll
little
also
step.
point out, Mr. Taylor, the French way of colonizing was vastly different from the way that the British colonized, from the way the Italians colonized, from the way the Germans colonized. The French, as I'm sure you know, colonized in the idea that where we land and where we establish our regime is basically an extension of France, right? Which is not the way that the British did, which is not the way that the Germans or Italians
The
did.
point is, there was colonization, European influence, as opposed to no European influence. In Africa, those places that were least colonized, namely Liberia, or, for example, Ethiopia, they are the most poverty-stricken places on the entire continent.
By design?
Isn't there influence there from Western countries
Pretty sure.
as far as resources and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
And
People should look more into the economic hitman.
yeah, I mean,
story.
things can happen on the side view
Yeah.
that aren't directly like strictly in the news and shit like
Sure.
that. Like, let's cut their water supply off over on the southern region. Then the north will come down and try to take, or the south will try to go up north to get their water, and then wars, and then this, and then that.
What's that company called? United Fruit?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
John Perkins made a specific example with a specific company or corporation.
Okay.
They did some shady shit, and I looked into it at the time. Obviously, I don't really exactly remember everything, but I was like, fuck. I was like, listen, we'll sell this back to you, but at a price, obviously. But you can't afford it. So, you'll pay us back with interest. Now you're fucked,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's basically
Just look
modern,
at Haiti.
It's modern day slavery in a way.
Just look at Haiti.
Yeah.
They fucking raped the shit out of that country.
Yeah.
The French and whoever they are in debt to. Alright. Naked Mill Rat.
It's a trap, yeah.
Those places that were most heavily colonized, if you wish, those where whites went to live in large numbers, South Africa, or at the time Rhodesia, those are the parts of Africa that were doing the best. Those that were left to their own devices are the ones that are doing the worst. And this is what this man was saying.
But you look at example like Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, which is doing incredibly poorly,
And
despite
why?
having been colonized. and
Because they
despite
chased all the whites out.
That's actually not true. Zimbabwe was Rhodesia was the only country after independence that extended what they call the hand of reconciliation to the white community to get them to stay, because the whites were the ones who actually controlled all the economic power in the country.
And look what happened. They drove out all the farmers, all of this forced expropriation of the land. Zimbabwe used to be self-sufficient in food. It had a wonderful agricultural export economy. Now it's a mess because they drove out the whites.
No. Once again,
False equation.
I don't have all the details in my mind, but I'm sure there's some sort of like an influence type of thing, to where it's okay. You're gonna go this part. Let's say we're France. Okay, this part of France is gonna go colonize this part. It's like, well, you get all of this fucking Kingdom of France's resources.
Yeah.
Also, dictating what value is, obviously. Like we say, gold is valuable. We'll say that, or something like that. So they're going. Part of France is breaking off into whatever African nation, and France is heavily supporting them with a shitload of resources. And it's like, okay, that would explain the bump in whatever economics or the flourishing type thing. And then them leaving is like, well, we etched out a society and the way the society should work. Now we're leaving, when people that were already there may not be into those particular the way society runs.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not French, right? So it's like, why are we doing things by France's way? So when they leave, it's like, why am I doing that? Alright. Mulret.
I know that you will see this in racial terms because it has manifested itself in racial terms, but it's economics there. All the power, all the economic and political power was concentrated in one small portion of the population, and when it was no longer in their interest to be there, they did leave. I don't want to have a conversation about colonization because I know that is a rabbit hole.
She might be wrong to some certain degree, but I do believe it is an extreme amount of economic government control.
That's
or it
sort
involves,
that's
obviously,
sort of what I'm saying.
like this. I wish I knew a little bit more about this, but the story I'm familiar with. As far as Panama, and the Panama Canal, Very crucial from what I remember as far as how the economic status can go for them at the time. And it was either the Perkins made a specific story about how a very known political leader, if it wasn't the president, it was some other title. I don't really exactly remember, but they were pushing for the Panama to get back the Panama Canal from the U.S. government. It was very big, like very, very big. So they wanted their economy to flourish for the people, you know. Economy flourishes, people flourish, you know. Rather than, well, look at Panama. We're getting a lot of things out of Panama. It's like, you know, it's producing well, but the people are suffering. What's going on, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, you know, we leave. Then what? You know. So I understand. I get it.
And what popped in my head is like the mafia type shit.
Oh, that's a big thing.
Like the mafia in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna set up shop. And they set up shop and they build their thing up to like this height.
Yeah.
And they find a way to make sure everyone else, you know, sort of goes down a bit.
Yeah.
So their thing sticks out, whatever it is, intimidation or whatever.
Must. But just to say, oh, it's the white people that leave. I'm like, no, man.
Can you guys play devil's advocate just for a bit so I can try and see what Jared is trying to say? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Like argue from his perspective?
Well,
I don't know if I can honestly do that. Like do it, say that and just, if I'm pretending, I guess.
yeah, but even if you're pretending, it's not his what he would say specifically, you know? Again, there have to be some video where he's giving like the specifics of what he believes in. And we would have to basically, what do you call it? Parry, counter, you know, feint,
Well-
parry, counter.
Well, his argument is that white people's genetics, whatever, will make this area flourish.
White people's genetics, their race,
Oh, genetics and shit.
and or culture, from what I remember.
He's saying
will
the culture
determine-
is born from the genetic
Yeah,
part.
and it'll determine like what you do and what you think and how you behave or whatever. You know,
And that's standing, because I know
Like
he's
who
with
you
the.
are.
I know he's with the intelligence part too. So
Mhm.
the genetics will dictate the intelligence, which will dictate how this whatever society goes that they're in. How could I argue that?
It's simple. No, I mean it's kind of tough, man. You know, unless he's
Well, you
here.
can just look at. Well, actually, yeah, you can look at history and the way things have turned out, right?
Yeah.
Africa is relatively poor compared to the West. Correct. In America, the black neighborhoods are more. There's more crime there, I believe.
Different economic status. Yeah.
And
Poor
it's hard to
economic
argue
status.
that because yes, like what is the solution he's proposing? He's proposing separating the races. That's what I believe. Well, it's preserving the white race because he thinks it's going extinct.
Yeah, preserving the white.
He thinks it's on the way to oblivion, his words.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you said that. Oblivion.
yeah. And saying that we should separate them.
He said I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me. He said
no.
they.
Let's stay there so we can answer the question. What would be the benefits of that? Like I said, it's hard to, like, in my mind, I can't even fathom how any type of benefit.
No.
Because it's like, in my mind, it's like tricking yourself into whatever. You're going off a faulty premise in the first place, which is blacks and whites are automatically against each other.
Fundamentally different.
Instead of just dum-dums arguing with each other. Now, if the dum-dum population just happens to grow, it's like, well, what are you going to do? But if you just look at it, there's no actual reason why.
He believes things will be better off, you know. People will get along.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be better, you know. It's like, no, it won't.
Well,
I guarantee you it won't. You know?
It won't because they're not addressing the actual problem,
Yeah.
right? The actual problem is corruption, is it not?
Actual problem is ignorance and corruption.
It's like the other guy saying, "Oh, you're saying simple stuff like good ideas and bad." I explained it for you in that video. It's about being practical. These are practical principles of good idea and bad idea. You just sit down and think about one idea. And
Not only that.
you can point out the goods and bads.
Not only that, it's like,
morally speaking.
it's too simple, man. I'm like, it is that simple. It is that simple. And whatever way we say it is designed so people can get the feedback, you know. And that way, like, oh, I understand that. Good idea versus a bad idea. And they come to question themselves, what is a good idea? What's a bad idea? And, well, what's good and bad?
See,
And it starts.
it's a simple core
It is simple.
foundation principle type of thing. It expands and becomes more complicated as the situation or the content expands
Sure, yeah.
into different directions.
Yes.
Usually people say gray areas, but if you look into it, it turns into a shitload of black and whites. That's how I look at it. Wow, you guys are doing it. And I see you guys are really thinking this time. His ideas are more difficult to defeat than you think.
No, they're not. What?
Jared, hold on. Jared isn't for forced segregation. He's for freedom of association. He's against forced integration.
I didn't
I
say
agree.
forced, you know.
Yeah, no, I've heard him say he's for freedom of association.
No, but he's saying
It's just he's saying the
he would like
he's
to
saying it without saying it. When you're talking about the end of your race, and your race is important because you happen to hold a certain type of intelligence based on your genetics, that's him without even saying it directly.
I got it.
That my solution is that we separate people.
It's almost like this. Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Monogamy. I didn't say enforced monogamy, right? I didn't say enforced monogamy. Meh. Monogamy.
Mahogany?
Shut the fuck up. He wasn't advocating for enforced monogamy. He said, but monogamy will solve a lot of problems. I'm like, no, it won't. No, it won't.
Yeah.
So it's like the same thing here. You know what I mean? It is actually the same thing. Like understanding what the actual problem is and what a solution really is, you know?
Yeah. He's trying to give a solution on the same level as the problem is.
His ideas aren't complicated.
It's like, let me fix this political problem with a political solution.
Yeah, I've seen this before. It's
Yeah.
just so like out there. I'm like, what?
It's trying to fix a law with another law. It's like, how do you stop babies falling out of cribs? We'll make cribs illegal. It's like, same surface answer.
I'm not insulting the guy, you know. As far as, I mean, Jared Taylor, that is.
Yeah.
His ideas are not complicated to me, you know. I'm just very surprised that I never heard that before, you know. As far as a solution.
Yeah. Marigo.
Modern day. My bad. Yeah.
Marigo or Marigo, I might have said that wrong, says there's zero scientific evidence for any difference between race. Honestly, I don't see why Jared has gained so much popularity. I think it's because it's somewhat countercultural now.
Oh, well, that, as well as, dare I say, a lot of the...
Good. I got a good one. Go ahead.
A lot of these guys that gain a following like this, like a lot of what they say can be somewhat easy to digest because a lot of people identify through these political lenses, these teams, these identity politics, like the Shapiro, right? Like Ben Shapiro, like even Peterson, for example, somewhat. Sam Harris, I can keep going on, you know. Even
I think
Republican, Democrat, it goes on, you know.
I think this is His rise, I think, is more of a reaction to a reaction to a reaction to a
Sure,
reaction.
sure.
In this whole game of revenge politics,
Yeah.
of whatever, what are they called? Trans. They want to be called a certain.
Transgender people?
Want to be called like a certain pronoun.
Pronoun, yeah.
Then like we need a counter argument to that politically.
Yeah.
Then they start making their
Making their
revenge
case,
politics,
yeah.
and they start separating further and further away to teams. To where you end up with this, to where who you are is almost entirely based on your genetics,
Which is
or
absolutely false.
or as she's arguing, who you are is based on your environment completely.
Yeah, and at a certain age.
It's like fuck.
And at a certain age, you know.
It's like, well, then who are you then?
It's like this, ready?
What are you, an apple tree?
Ready?
You got an apple tree outside your house. Are you an apple tree now?
Your name is Jordan. You're a YouTuber.
Yes.
And whatever. You ready?
My
Who
name's
are you?
Lloyd, actually.
My bad. Who are you?
I'm a carpenter.
No. I said, who are you? Not what you do. Who are you?
I was born in December.
No, stop it. I didn't say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people say that. It's very surprising, you know? Like, who are you? Well, my name's Bill. I'm a basketball player, and no.
Grassroots of Old Hickory. He's saying it without saying it. Right? If you look at
What?
it, look at it logically.
What do you say?
Look. If you look at it logically, right? If he's saying that, okay, genetics are all right. There's biological difference between races. I agree with that. But now he's associating that there's behavioral differences because of the genetics and biology of races.
I would disagree heavily.
Now he's saying it without saying it, right? He's saying that look at the poor country here with the potholes and the broken down buildings, and look
Yeah.
at this country that's been colonized by white people. Look at Zimbabwe; it was flourishing when
The white people were there. And that was where the white people leave.
Once the white people got pushed out, then the country went downhill.
Yeah.
So he's saying it without saying it.
It's almost like this, ready? Based off of these studies here, white people have a higher intelligence than black people. Based off of those studies. But you can't deny the percentages. You can't deny these statistics. So what am I saying, really, right? Without necessarily saying it. Right?
Yeah.
I'm saying, intelligence is based off of race and genetics. But I'm not saying it. You know? That's what he means. You.
Yes.
You, Jordan. Because you're the
Lloyd, for God's sakes. Lloyd Banks.
Lloyd Banks. Jeez, Lloyd. You look very different off the camera.
And I hear what you're saying, grassroots address all his shit, but certain things I'd have to look up on another time, like historical things he's talking about, social economic things, I'd have to look into them straight up. But if he makes a certain point where it's at a level I can see at, to where I don't need to do the research for it, I'll give it to you.
Level as far
give you the
as
information right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
All right, let's continue. By the way, we're not on her side either. Calling her out, she's making some bogus shit up too.
She works for ABC, all right.
Yeah, she's playing the political game.
Yeah.
Probably sipping on a Starbucks fucking coffee right now.
What I mean is this: it's like,
I
all right,
hate the team playing shit.
I don't like either. Look, I'm gonna race bait you. Ready? Here we go. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're not offering any solutions either. You know, this girl has a platform, and what is she doing? Probably, hey, say something fucked up. Come on. Actually, it's this. Like no.
She's
An enabler.
playing the role. Let's hear more.
All right.
Shaved beaver.
Know your role and shut your.
Shaved beaver, naked mole rat.
Well, I do want to ask you. I do want to ask you about. Look,
Panel.
two of the things that you've pointed to again and again in terms of American history, where there was a turning point, a pivotal point, in where you think the decline sort of began, is around 1965, right? The Voting Rights Act, the Immigration Act.
No, the great change was the Immigration Act of 1965. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was also a very significant change.
So let me ask you this, because you weren't here. You weren't in America when those were happening. So how were you processing those? How were you learning about what was happening here? You were still in Japan at the time. You
I
were
was
14 or
paying-
15
I
at the
was paying
time?
no attention at the time.
None at all.
No.
So when you came back to the States, I shouldn't even say back, when you first came to the States, how old were you?
I first came when I was 9 years old for a year, and then I came to stay when I was 16.
When you were 16. Okay.
She's trying to get you in a I gotcha moment. You weren't born here, you weren't raised here, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, there's race everywhere, so he's arguing, yeah.
Not only that,
I'm not sure if he's arguing American shit.
I'm not sure.
He might
Probably.
be with the separating of races.
Well, the other thing is this, like, well, you weren't here, so how could you know? I'm like, you weren't here either.
Yeah.
You know? As far as looking at what happened and understanding it through, like, you know,
Yeah.
through yourself and like, empathizing, you know?
Right.
If that's an actual word, but...
Yeah.
Alright, yes! It's not hard to, well, you can have an opinion, you weren't there. Like, no, you can have an opinion, you know?
Grassroots says, what's a better idea? Option A, B, or C? Forced segregation, forced integration, or freedom of association? It's obviously freedom of association. I made this, I don't know if I did in the video or if I put it in the comments of our last Jared
You did something.
Taylor video.
JT?
See, I think guys get into the course of arguing from these two opposing sides so often to where if you're making a case against one, then they're like, you must be on the other side. I think
No.
someone thought we were arguing for forced integration.
Absolutely not.
I'm like, fuck no.
Hell no. No.
No. It's about the individual.
It's like, no.
It's about the individual and true expression. Right? No, I did say it in the video. If it's forced separation or forced togetherness, it's inorganic,
It's inauthentic.
inauthentic. It's against all your internal fire alarms going off. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Like, see, you have no choice. Either or, like, you're gonna go over here because he's this color, versus listen, you're both different. Be friends. It's like you have no choice. It's like, you know, like what?
Yeah.
No.
Marigo says he's looking at corrupt countries and concluding that the race is the problem, but really it's human nature. Human nature can be corrupt regardless of race. I agree with that. At first I was like, then he said, can be. I'm like, definitely agree with that. Grassroots says, I'm neutral too. These are just interesting questions to me. Respectable. I respect that. And we shall continue. Shaved beaver, naked mole rat.
So how are you comparing sort of life? You knew no life in America before you got here when you were 16, right?
No, but how do we
Dumb
know
argument.
about the past? We know about the past from reading about it, from speaking with people who were living in the past.
So how did you come to learn, how did you come to hold the ideas you do about what was better about America before the Immigration Act, for example? Was that from
Did you go to school?
academic circles you were in, your friends, your family?
Until 1965, the United States had an immigration policy that was specifically designed to keep the country majority white. And it had a population that was about 90% white. At that time...
They had
the
quotas, right, of national origin.
Yes, that's right, to maintain a European population. And at that time, the Hart-Celler Act, as it was called, was sold as something that was not going to change the ethnic balance. And if at that time you had told the American Congress, if you pass this law, in just 70 years, whites, you who are 90% of the population, are going to become a minority, I can promise you they would never have passed that law. This was something that was foisted onto American Congress as a kind of window dressing. The American people would never have voted to become a minority. And now, those who say that that was a mistake are told that they were racist and white supremacists, despite the fact that virtually every non-white country on earth takes for granted its population to remain as it is and not be dispossessed, not be reduced to a minority through immigration or any other means.
But
Why does that matter? I don't understand. The white race, the white race is becoming the minority. Oh my God! Like, who gives a fuck?
And
I don't
sometimes
understand.
sometimes his language, I can see why the typical social
Yeah, we call him a Nazi.
ignorant person would call him racist
Yeah,
or whatever.
they call him a Nazi. They call him racist. You know, look, I don't.
Because he
I don't like
associated white with America straight up.
I don't like using those terms.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious. Even like the other video we saw, it's like, dude, how are you? Why are you so like interested in that? Why? Why do you think that's gonna be a good thing?
Yeah.
Why are you like, oh, we're disappearing? What do you think is gonna happen when all the white people disappear? You do too? No. No.
People, still individuals, looking more similar. No, hold on. Because his argument is that there's this intelligence and behavior are associated with the genetics. So if he loses the white gene pool, then society will go. Who knows where he?
Here's the thing.
Who knows what he means?
I would
after that.
question him as far as, dude, why? Why are you putting so much into this? What's your purpose for this? You know?
Yeah.
And it's like Shapiro, right?
All right, where you go? I got you.
It's like Shapiro.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you saying these things? Why are you so against the... Like, dude, if that person wants to be called this or that... Look, if I want to be called a fucking attack... If I want to be identified as a goddamn attack helicopter... You know? Why the fuck not? No, you're not. You're a man, you're a man, you're a man, you're a man, you're a man. Where was that coming from? Why is that so important to you, Ben? Why? Then you find out... Could be a religious thing.
Yeah, you could have.
And then we
religious
heard him
undertones.
say it. Some prophecy thing, you know? And you're like, fuck, that speaks a lot. So, I mean, it says a lot and explains a lot, you know? As far as, like, oh, my morals come from here. I'm like, oh, so... You know what I mean?
It sounds.
So with
once
this
again,
guy...
Once again, with the group thing, lack of identity.
So with this guy, I'm not saying it was like, well, he wasn't religious back then. Well, I don't mean that. I mean is, where the fuck did this come from, you know? I want to hear, like why?
It can't just be the...
Is this the right thing to do, man? Why? What's going on? You know what I mean?
I can't see it as being just the African guy who said, I wish we were colonized.
Yeah,
so
no.
that we could, like, but...
You could have been talking to a dummy. Who knows?
That'll just remain a mystery until
Yeah.
whatever comes out. Alright, he's talking. Okay. Alright. Naked mole rat.
Immigration Act, as it was passed, and you're right at the time that it was characterized as something that wouldn't have enormous change on society at that time.
I'm glad we agree.
Yeah, I know. I've read about it as well. At the time, it was passed really with two purposes, right? One was to reunite immigrant families, and the other was to attract skilled labor. It was to actually continue to contribute to the modernization and progress of the American economy.
It ended up being a family reunification bill, but the people who made use of that were not the original Europeans. And one of the most important aspects of that bill was in the context of the Cold War. The United States was competing with the Soviet Union for influence all around the Third World, and it made it easy for the Soviet Union to say, look at these horrible capitalists. They won't even let you people into their country. That was an extremely important aspect of the reason for the passage of that. Also, there had just been the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So this was considered a dismantling of the kind of racial consciousness that had been traditional in the United States, but again, it was simply to be window dressing.
The other.
And so it seems almost ironic sometimes when you look at it. They say, like, black people just end up killing each other. It's like, let's take the American government, American Empire, then you had the British Empire, weren't they doing the same thing on just a larger global scale?
Yes.
They're not killing other whites. Well, they were, but they're, you know what I mean? They're not killing their own distinct kind. Alright, let's go with like modern day, right? Middle East and shit. Right? Like a majority white government bombing the shit out of these brown people over in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, you guys are too. You're killing your own people. Humans. You're killing your own people. Humans.
Yeah. I would even go there. I would go right to this. And I know what you're getting at, you know.
Then you look at crime. Okay, you have the petty, drug beef on the streets.
Yeah.
And then you have, I robbed 1,000 people out of their homes and jobs.
Yeah.
It's like, well, once again, the problem's corruption there. The problem will continue to be corruption. The Bernie Madoffs, the whoever's, the housing bubble.
That guy's low in the tone pool, trust me.
Guys ripping off each other. It sounds almost like a drug beef, right?
IRS.
You got the big kingpin drug dealer eating up all the smaller businesses.
Yeah.
Like, this is mine now. This is mine now. This is mine now. And you have something like, I don't know, Apple or something. Okay, I eat up this business. This is my business now. This is mine.
Now you're forced, right? As far as it's like you can't buy anybody else but us. How are you going to operate in this world? You can't.
Could simply be microcosm, macrocosm type of thing. The same behavior, just done through different outlets.
I don't understand, even if he doesn't say it the specific way that we're saying it.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you come to this. It's the people. It's their race. It's when the white people leave this, then shit goes bad, you know? Like, no, man.
Maybe grassroots. Because we have to define what good and bad means in the situation of colonization. Right? Did we go over there, murder half their people, and say, the rest of you better fall in line? Or did we go over there looking for trade prospects? And
sure. I'll make it simple, look.
Hey, we'll help you out, you help us.
Anytime there's some sort of idea or venture that tries to justify tyranny, it's not good. Immediately good is out of the picture. Immediately.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if there's good intentions, as long as there's some form of corruption or ignorance that stems from it, and some person tries to justify the tyranny that just took place or it's about to take place, it's not good. It doesn't mean, not even a little bit, not even a tiny bit. Yeah, I could say just like there's some corrupt billionaire that donates money to some orphanage, you know.
Yeah.
Then you find out the intentions of it. Let's say, this is a character I'm creating right now, and I say that the character, the billionaire, is a corrupt billionaire, and he's doing this to save face. Immediately, it's automatically not a good thing. Even if it's, well, it did help people. I'm like, yeah, did good by accident. Doesn't make it a good action, okay? His intentions were not good. They're corrupt. Immediately wiped out of the picture.
What he's talking about is the existential part of it. How do I sleep at night type of thing.
Yeah, how the fuck do you sleep at night?
How do you get how do you get certain things out of the way to think about the bigger questions instead of going to sleep thinking about what happens if I get caught? How am I not going to get caught? Going to sleep thinking like, man, what's beyond this? What's important in my life?
Yeah. They take the special little pill that makes sure they don't have any dreams, so they're safe.
I don't like how he's determining the individual person's intelligence strength based on their race. There are Nobel Prize winners from many races. Their argument that, well, at least at Charles Murray,
Nobel Prize, you say?
There's Nobel Prize winners from
the Nobel Prize.
Yeah. Not the Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, okay.
Just the Nobel Prize. But yeah, I think the the Charles Murray argument is that there's outliers and everything, which is why you should judge an individual as an individual.
Exactly, not based off of...
He might have taken it to another step and
He did take it to another
added
step.
things to it, such as that morality and intelligence are the same thing. Like, he's basically making that claim. You could say I'm wrong. I might be wrong. Who knows? But to me, it sounds like he's saying intelligence and morality are the same thing, and that intelligence is this thing right here that you can study.
It's also based off of race.
Yeah, it's essentially what.
That is totally, absolutely. If that's what he's saying, that's what it sounds like. That's absolutely false.
Yeah. Just keep this.
I don't understand how. And it's not going to take me fucking 50 minutes to really. Okay, now I know what he means. It's like.
Yeah.
Like, where's this going to change? It's like, I think I heard enough, to be honest with you. You know?
Yeah. Is Jared talking about individuals from corrupt countries that are living in America and how these people should be removed because they carry with them the corruption of their original country?
I doubt it.
I think he just goes right for
Very
the.
specific.
I think he's that tunnel vision, looking just at the racial components of all these social events and all that.
Yeah. He's using events in history to back up his theory. Just as what was it, Nicaragua, or wherever the fuck.
For what?
White people leaving the country goes to shit.
That was Zimbabwe.
My bad. Nicaragua.
Right? Zimbabwe, I think.
That came from something else. Maybe it was the Nike documentary. Anyway, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So see, they left and it went bad. See, come on. It's like, man, no. I question why this is so important. I have not heard him touch that. Like, we have to preserve it. We have to. Like, why is this so important to you, dude? What's going on here?
Well, once again, I think he's saying it without directly saying it.
I want him to say it. You know?
The Belgian colonialists basically made the people in the Congo slaves, but the French treated the people on the Ivory Coast as French citizens. The Ivory Coast benefited from infrastructure, schooling, etc. Yeah, I'd have to look into all that. I think he's responding to Marigo. Alright, let's continue.
Sure, I'm just saying, we could get specific events here, right? But as long as something... Again, I'll say it again. We justify tyranny, it's not good. That's that, you know? I mean, I'll look into that, but I'm just saying, you know?
And it depends on what you mean by colonizing. Let's say I go to some, like, whatever place in the world that's not doing so well economically, things are beat up, and say, hey, will you guys welcome me in? I'll hang out here. Say, all right, hey, can I help? Can I just pay and have all these buildings fixed?
Yeah.
Let's put up some McDonald's too, why not? And it starts reflecting my culture.
Yeah.
Like, is that colonizing, or is it that just, I'm helping out?
Or it's, hey,
I really like this place, I want it to look better. For me.
I don't know where this is, guys, but I like it. Can I stay here? Sure. Week later, hey guys, I like it here so much, I want my family to live here. Is that okay? Why not? They told their family and their friends. That cool? Sure. Start building houses, you know what I mean? Not, we like it here. Cool, man. Cool. Hey, we're gonna build more. All right, well, just so you know, this is where we stay. You need to move now.
I'm gonna come here and take your resources, even though, well, it's not like you're using them. You don't know why we would use them. You know.
Dad, why are we killing them? Because, son, they're not human. They're savages.
I could just be.
I'm not quoting them. I'm making a gross, dramatization.
That sounds like a hustler move to me.
A hustler move?
Yeah. That sounds like a drug dealer move to me. It's like, you guys don't even know what you're doing. Give me this shit.
Yeah.
See, look. Put up some nice houses here. Your place looks better now.
Yeah.
See, look at that.
Yeah.
Put a little change in your pocket. But now I own your territory. This is my territory now.
Listen,
Don't
guys,
fuck
listen. We can't ask all these people to leave, but if you guys relocated to this area over here, man, we'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
It's all about you. A month later, listen. You go like this. Listen, man. Listen, man. Didn't work out. You gotta walk again. A month later, what are you gonna do? You can't fight us. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck.
As Jay-Z once said,
As if he's
smack,
dead.
you smack them for a brick, and you sell it back to them.
How much longer you want to go?
I might even just answer more questions than anything. I don't know if they're questioning or just debating each other. Debate away.
It's like, imagine it's like people in the comment section don't debate us. They just debate, themselves. Like, hey guys, it's our chat. Be quiet. We're talking. Anyway.
I'll get to those. Let's hear a little more. Yeah.
They're part of that with the
More
abolition of the national quotas and the reunification of immigrant families was to attract skilled labor. Every time America has opened up or loosened immigration borders, it's been to attract the kind of labor that's been lacking.
And it didn't work, did
Yeah.
it? We didn't get skilled labor at all. The people who have come
I
in
think
the
a lot of people would
post-65
very strongly disagree with that,
No,
Mr. Taylor.
look into the details.
Let's
the
move
people,
on.
The comparison
Let me
between
ask
the,
you
let,
about-
let me finish. The comparison between pre-65 immigrants and post-65 immigrants in terms of academic qualifications, years of schooling, there is a dramatic fall off.
That's actually not empirically true. Immigrants in America are more likely than than Americans who have been here, than white Americans, to go to four-year educational institutions. They're more likely to start businesses. They're more likely to be engines of economy in their own communities. That is all empirically true about
beg
immigrant
your pardon,
communities.
you are incorrect. That is true for certain segments. The largest number who've come here by and large have been Hispanics. Hispanics, they may start businesses, but they come with an average level of education that is considerably less than that of native-born immigrants.
And you think that's because of their genetics?
See, isn't this like, if I dare say, red flags here?
Yeah.
You know, like
It's
a
like-
bunch of them.
That one's a pretty obvious, like, we're changing the maze down here on this end. The rat can't see it, so his behavior is going to be changed when he gets near that point. It's like you just bring up NAFTA.
Yeah.
Basically, we economically bombed the shit out of Mexico. We economically bombed them.
Yeah.
Also, we help. Nah. I don't know if help might be a strong word, but
What?
let's just say the U.S. government and the Mexican drug cartels have a relationship.
I would definitely agree.
I'll leave that to you guys to research.
You will
Once
have
they are here, I would argue immigrant communities, and the data actually shows this, immigrant communities go on to complete, yes, they do, absolutely do.
Second and third generation Hispanics are still way behind in terms of academic completion, likelihood to go to college. In certain selected groups, yes, it's true, people from your origin, Pakistanis and Indians, they tend to come with higher education qualifications. Hispanics certainly do not.
Let's move on. I'd like to talk about, we talked a little bit about how you came to understand your identity in the work that you did and the places that you traveled. I'm curious how you talk about it. I know you talk about it in your work. You have children, correct? You have two daughters who are now adults, I'm assuming?
One is 22, one is 15.
Oh, okay.
So she's like, well, you're old, so,
Oh, my bad, grassroots. I thought you were just talking to the other guy.
See, I'm talking to you.
Jared is talking about mathematical group average of intelligence. not individuals. Yeah, he's using the Charles Murray bell curve.
Yeah.
I assume that already.
I still don't agree with it at all.
Is Jared proposing, this is from Rigo, is Jared proposing that we help these other non-white nations or that we keep the individuals from those countries away?
You read it out loud again?
I think he's all for helping other nations, but he doesn't want to let them in at all. I think he's definitely against letting people in the country, but I think he's probably open to helping. You know, just fly a plane over and just drop food out of the plane. Don't get near them.
No, it's a.
They'll change.
We need a teacher. It's a guy.
Joking.
It's a guy, and this guy, like, you know, like a TV. The teacher's in the TV. Okay, guys. We're ready. We're ready.
Were the native people of Central America better off before colonization with the Aztec kingdom or after Spanish colonialization? That we would never know, right? Because if let's say Spain never went there and colonized, we wouldn't know what would have happened, to be honest with you. I mean, that's why I break it down into existential type things. Also, why I consider there to be different kinds of intelligence. Let's say the Aztecs were cutting people's hearts out, and this is all from Apocalypto.
Yeah.
They cut off heads and it rolls down this giant ziggurat or pyramid or whatever the fuck. That shit there. They might have evolved to, guys, it was a metaphor the whole time. Sometimes you need your heart broken in order to to get back up and come back swinging.
He didn't feel it. We drugged him.
Yeah.
Those were fake heads.
So that's why I was asking you to define, like, oh, certain things were left off better when colonization happened than somewhere else where it didn't happen.
You know,
it's like, well, what do you mean by better?
You know what this reminds me of? Remember when we were talking about capitalism and communism? This one guy was hell bent on, no, guys, capitalism is the problem. And I'm like, dude, no, it's not the system. System is neutral, okay? That system is neutral. It's what happens when you have corrupt people within that system. Now it's not neutral anymore, you know? Take the people out, now it's just a neutral system again. That's it.
Yeah.
Simple. So it's like, if we keep getting these like these events he's talking about, what's better, this or that, or what happened with this, you know? It's like, well, even if we don't know, as long as you understand the difference between something that's like some event that definitely portrays ignorance or corruption, or something with good intentions that turn out to be bad, or if it turned out to be good, that's all you need to understand. Those are the tools you need.
And
you know, that's it.
Is
if it happens right in front of your face, like right here, something happens. You know, you'll be able to say, okay, you're all corrupt, you know, or whatever the fuck, you know.
And once again, it all depends on what you mean by better, because do you mean technologically, or like would they advance technologically further?
It's like, well,
was the year 2000 worse than today because we have iPhones?
Like this. Like, see, in the year 1908, in the 80s, it was better. I mean, no, my bad. Today it's better, you know, because in the 80s in New York, a lot of people died. A lot of drugs. Like, it's still shitty, you know? I'm not going to call it better, you know? I just can't. I can't do that. Well, what would you rather live in? A non-corrupt society. And they're both corrupt. So
yeah,
I don't choose. It's like the train. It's like the train, you know.
Yeah, is Genghis Khan, is he worse for killing 100,000 people one at a time with a spear?
Yeah.
Or is one nuke killing 100,000 people?
It's still killing.
Either way, 100,000 people dead, and the intention was to murk someone.
Yeah.
The nuke maybe can take less responsibility for it, but that might even be a lower moral principle. Who knows?
I killed him by proxy. Right.
the American empire has exploited more people around the world than any other empire in history. So you're right about that, Yellow Brick. I would say yes, that's true, but only statistically. If we, like I said, Genghis Khan, if we gave him nuclear weapons and all our modern technology, he would have fucked the world up too. In that way. The Aztec enslaved all nearby tribes. They wiped tribes out. It goes back to for me, it goes back to the microcosm, macrocosm. One nation maybe doing it on a large scale, in a large scale way, and one is doing it more locally. Like, it basically looks like this very similar thing. A drug dealer extorting people for their property, and a Wall Street banker extorting people for their property. It's like, Marigo says, it sounds more like megalomania than philanthropy. What are you referring to there? Oh, okay. It sounds like fear to me. There you go. That sounds like a fear stance of... I think he's an honest person, as in he believes what he's saying. And I think his motivating factor, whether it's conscious or, unconsciously, subconsciously, I think it's like a fear thing. I mean, the last video we played, he used some pretty harsh words about where or what's happening to his people. He's used like what's the word? Oblivion, something like that, or extinction. So the rhetoric is definitely dramatic. Who knows? The Aztec had evil culture. The Spanish brought Christianity. In the end, the native people were left better off. I mean, that's interesting, but I'm not going to agree with you here. Because, once again, yes, it's simple. It's a simple kindergarten sounding thing. It's about good ideas and bad ideas. If something is explicitly a bad idea, I mean, that's tough. Because religious context, a lot of these, for me, when I look at religious type stuff, I put it in the context of metaphor. Basically always, unless it's a blatantly do not kill. Like, okay, I'm good with that. But if it's like stories and things like that who the fuck knows wrote, then it's like, the best I can do is metaphor. Plus, there's harsh things in the Bible too. What do you guys base your morality off of? Where do your morals come from? You keep asking what I mean by better. Do you now believe all cultures are equal? No. I wouldn't say all cultures are equal on a moral stance, since you seem to be leaning towards a moral context when you mean better or worse or whatever. If that's what you mean, then I would say there are cultures better than others. But those cultures are not based on genetics. They're based on
ideals.
conditioning,
Yeah.
and the ideas of the place. Like, Bob died on Tuesday, and then it started raining and all the crops came out. I think that's what God wants. It's like, you know. But the people within all the cultures, yes, they are equal when it comes when it comes to value, not ideas. I definitely believe in hierarchy of ideas.
See? It's like, well, actually. Alright.
If the Aztec kingdom existed today on some island, would you respect their culture and sovereignty? Or would you intervene, smash their kingdom, and help the native people? Why's it got to be that? Why's it got to be one or the other? Why's it got to let someone...
It's the train track thing, man.
Why you got to let someone get away with human sacrifice? And... Or just go in there and beat the fuck out of them. Murder or kill them, basically. And... I'm guessing you mean a modern Aztecs, like the same concepts, just modernized, like when they have upgraded weapons and shit like
Imagine,
that.
we'll knock you out.
That's a tough question. In my mind, I'll just walk in there and beat the fuck out of them without killing them. Just beat the shit out of them. Say anyone who wants to leave can leave
actually,
now. If you want to stay, we're gonna build giant walls and isolate you. Welcome to Thunderdome. And,
Thunderdome.
No, I'm just playing. But yeah, if people wanted to, like, let's say they wanted to fight for who's king, like some Black Panther scenario, except they kill each other, right? It is killing each other in Black Panther, right? When the guys go one-on-one for who's going to be king.
It's an option.
Oh, yeah. So, let's
yield?
Let's say they wanted to do that. Like, okay, here's your place. Just don't bring that shit over here. You're good.
Anybody that agrees with this, you can go over here.
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, what, right, ready? If, let's say that was a thing, right? And there's people that want to leave, like, oh my god, we want, but they can't. It's, against your will, huh? If I'm Superman, just show up. They could do everything they want. It won't hurt me at all, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're firing, like, whatever the fuck, like, guns and shit. It's like, huh, that tickled. Anyway, anyone that wants to, you know, come with me over here, come on.
Yeah.
I'm not harming anybody.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't need to talk to them nicely. It's not a... You could have fury on your face and in your voice. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
I probably would. Probably. As you know. Like, the minute I
And-
hear about these shitty things, it's like, you know, you already know.
And I don't believe in killing, period.
No, me either. Absolutely not.
So it's like... If you can't... if you can't handle the work, then don't ask to do the work. If I'm like the president or something,
Yeah.
or actually let's say someone else is the president and they don't have the heart to just say, you know, man, we can't kill people and stand by it. It's like, all right, you don't have the heart for this, man. Go do something else.
Yeah.
You could be a veterinarian or something, man. Take care of animals. You're good. Just start a family over here. Go do that shit.
Ooh.
But it's like, if you have a certain types of individuals with certain types of moral understanding, yeah, they could.
Interesting, huh?
Hmm?
It's like, oh, go start a family. Go influence other people's lives, you know? Even that's something deeper, you know? Something I wouldn't want to dive into right now.
You would need someone who's willing to risk something tragic in order to do the correct thing, the morally correct thing. And they're willing to risk tragedy to do it. Because that act, even if it ends in tragedy, puts a giant fucking footmark on the world. It says, this happened. That can't be erased from it. It happened, straight up. But then you got to go into the other ideas. Like collective unconscious and shit. Like, that was a real thing that happened. It's hiding in the basement of everyone's consciousness. But those are woo-woo ideas. What do you want from me?
Well, that was a big portion of his lecture yesterday.
So yeah, no asking nicely.
Yeah.
I just want to just answer questions.
I think I'm kind of done. I mean, I've heard enough of this dude.
And they're doing the
J-Tay.
They're just doing the spat and back and forth.
Yeah. Well, listen, your team is awful, okay? My team is the best. This?
You should have picked a shorter video.
I mean, we did hear it. I believe we did hear enough.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you guys base your morality off of? Where do your morals come from? You keep asking. Okay. You just copy and paste the question. You want to go first?
Where do they come from?
What do you base them on? And where do they come from? Things like that.
Well,
I think I explained this already with the previous statements about reflection, and you already are who you are, and you reflect it on the environment reflects it back.
It's already there. See, it's an interesting theory. I don't remember who exactly said it. I was like, I think I like that. It's like you already know. You just have to remember. Which is why, there's I would say
it's a very new age way of saying it, but
there is already a natural sense of right and wrong. It's like ingrained within you, the individual you.
Yeah.
What you know to be right and wrong, no matter where you are. Which is why I would I'd hold anybody, including myself, responsible for no matter what the environment is, but your decision making.
Yeah.
What you do, what you say, it doesn't matter.
On real quick. Grassroots, something like that will be happening at some point. We just need more of a following, really, to where we have phone calls and shit like that. People come in.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, you spoke for 5 minutes, hang up.
You hate your country.
It's more like, you just keep going.
We are fairly new, even though we have a lot of videos.
Yeah.
We are fairly new, It's been a while, guys. I'm like, hey, guys, our shit's not very easy to take in, I'd say.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Pause.
Paul. Yeah. Mega pause.
The morality. I cut you off.
I kind of said it. I believe it's already there. There's a natural sense of right and wrong, and a lot of these things can be expressed through either even though it's interesting whether it's whatever belief system you were brought up in, or maybe it was some sort of idea that your parents try to have you go with. And it's something that could go against the morals, like what's right and what's wrong. Whether it's maybe your one of your parents saying, "Listen, James, they hit you, you hit them back." And make sure you hit them so they never hit you ever again. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Or it's, James, listen, just got to ignore the problem, okay? Just got to ignore the problem and walk away. You know what I mean? And you ask yourself, but then you hear, with words, right? You already understand the feeling of right and wrong,
Yeah.
But with words, it's, James, try to do the right thing, okay? It's like,
That's the environmental reflection.
So I believe it's already there,
Mm-hmm.
It's other things are able to express them in words with content that I'm able to see and other people express them. Not necessarily for me to copy them, but to understand them more in sense of, when you're expressing it this way, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Versus when someone says, look, I did the right thing, okay? I had to kill him. Like, that's not the right thing to do, okay? Because he may have his own definition of good or right, the right thing to do. But I guarantee you when we get down to it, it's an absolute, just like the truth. And when we get down to it, he's wrong. He's wrong, 100%. Justifying tyranny does not equal good,
Alright. What was the question? Where does it come from? Alright, I base my morality off of existentialism, which is someone just understanding themselves. And what I
didn't put it into those words, but
what I've learned is coming with sort of a definition of good and evil. This is gonna get woo-woo, so forgive me if you get lost or if I get lost in my words. Forgive me for that. I look at, in the concept of good and evil, I consider good to be the self itself, the person themselves. That's the good.
Mm.
The evil is the empty, where you're not occupying.
It's like autopilot.
You know what? Yeah. So
Do it this
now, what we consider good is already there. It's innate, like you're saying. It's already there.
Switch my vocabulary.
But
Yeah.
But in order for the self to express the good, it needs conflict. It needs choice. Right? Otherwise, you're just sitting good. You're sitting in truth, you're sitting in good. You're sitting in love, you're sitting in yourself. You're just sitting there. As opposed to this wild adventure of painting yourself onto the world.
I believe it'd be better expressed.
And the world sending it back.
100%. Better expressed.
And it's practical. Why do that? Well, it's fun. You want to create yourself. You want to become your own hero. You want to... Huh? Yeah.
Plug it in. Freak.
You want to be your own champion.
Dare you say it's like a pessimist?
You want to attach content to these things. I want to watch Batman and say, that's the good guy, yay. Right?
Yeah.
And in a movie, you can say, that's the bad guy, boo.
Yeah.
Or in the Dark Knight's case, it's like, I see that he's good, but what the fuck is this guy? What is the Joker? What is that?
I'm just bringing them out. I'm not doing anything. They'll do it. That's why he gives them the bomb.
Yeah.
See? You guys decide. But at the same time, he's the guy that will not give you a choice, put you on the train tracks, tie you up. So here, guys, you guys choose who dies. It's going to be either one of you, but you're forcibly putting them there. Even if they don't make that choice, you'll do it.
The Joker is an agent of chaos, which is an archetype of nature.
Yeah.
Batman's the order. They're both necessary. You need the chaos to make a choice. You need the order to make the choice.
And Harvey Dent's the person who made a choice.
One is the choices, one is the choice.
Yeah. And we obviously see how that choice shaped many things. The White Knight became the villain.
The Catholic and Orthodox Church system, or says it is written on the human heart to a degree. I don't know if that's where I originally heard that idea.
Say it again?
The Catholic and Orthodox Church says it is written on the human heart to a degree. The innate goodness or whatever.
Listen,
Religion, I don't know if that's the first place I heard it, but...
Well, I would never disregard anything that anybody has to say, but I think many things stem from these religions, that should be looked at.
I think
essentially,
a lot of shit in there that...
I think that a lot of people don't really understand. I heard Cesarian talk about it again, and obviously he said he learns many things from Maxwell. Mm-hmm. But in regards of
Maxwell seemed more conspiracy leaning.
As far as what we see,
was more philosophical, psychological.
But as far as from what we see, Now, if we understand even the slightest translations from what we see, allegedly these translations in words actually come from symbols, like pictures, which is very interesting in regards of something that's translated something like this, but it still means something, the heart, Oh no, he means the heart in your chest, under your ribs that pumps blood, you know what I mean. symbolism,
Yes.
metaphors, parables, right?
Yeah.
These things have greater meaning, rather than just some sort of regulatory. It's masculine. See, right there, the heart.
The bush was located over here. It was on fire. Moses talked to it.
Listen, the bush couldn't have been there. You were on a mountain, okay?
Alright.
It was just degrees, like.
But it's not always clear, and we can be misled. So we need an external authority like God to dictate right and wrong. You're correct that morals come from your environment. I didn't say that.
I didn't say that either.
Your morality as Westerners comes from growing up in a Christian culture. That's why our understanding of morality is different from the understanding of the Israeli understanding or the Chinese understanding of right and wrong. As Westerners, your morality ultimately comes from growing up in a culture rooted in Christianity.
The Milo.
Even if you're atheist, this is ultimately the true source of your morality.
The Milo argument. Good Christian values.
It's the other way around, I would say. In fact, I'd say I know, but for the sake of arguing, I'll say that's what I say. That it's something in here we already have. We reflect it onto the environment, and the environment reflects it back.
Sure.
That's what I think happened with the guys writing the Bible. If it's all meant to be a metaphor, that's what I think that happened with that.
I believe so too.
They had this feeling
Yeah.
that they use. How can I use this carriage as a metaphor for this?
Sure.
That's the environment reflecting back.
Sure.
Or, let's say, the events were like partial metaphor, partial actual thing. Like there's an actual guy named Jesus, and whatever, but he didn't literally walk on water. Used it as a metaphor.
The dude said in there, so speak in parables. Come on.
That's him speaking now.
Still.
That's different than someone describing him, right?
True. Well, what I mean is, it's just stemming from this, as far as something that we project ourselves to be, a higher thing, what we aspire,
Yeah.
and so it creates, in my opinion, this God. So, which is why when someone says, "Well, I'm God, and you are, and she is, and he is, and whoever," it's like very interesting, and it's very interesting. Like Sarian said, how shows depict this. How one of the Star Trek episodes, like they were looking for God or whoever, and when they finally got to that point, they saw the reflection of it was him. You know what I mean? So I would not say they come from, it comes from this specific group, this system. It was already there. They just, like you said, I'm expressing it this way.
Yeah. I think the book was a certain way. I don't know if this is off topic or not, but it just idea that popped in my head.
Sure.
Let's say the Old Testament was just like this.
Yeah.
I think the Jesus story became the decipher, right? It became the kingdom of heaven is within you. Then it's like, oh, that changes a whole bunch of meanings back here.
Sure.
Or whatever I can do, you can do, and more. Something like that. I don't know if that's the exact.
Not only that, a lot of people say.
That's like, wait a minute.
A lot of people would say.
Not a story change.
Yeah. A lot of people would say, like, there's you, then there's God in heaven, and there's the bridge. Like Jesus is the bridge.
Oh, yeah, I've heard
And
that.
it's like, oh. I feel like rappers would be like, oh, I get it.
I mean,
Poets,
I look at.
storytellers.
Yeah. I mean, there's.
Come on, the Jesus story.
And it's somewhat complicated. I think it's a layered story, the Jesus story.
I would say so
I think
too.
it's an actual social man
Yeah.
who did some whatever righteous things back then. Like, guys, we need to stop killing, or whatever the fuck he does. Then you have the third person observation of him, which is he did this. Then there's the metaphor of the third person viewing him. Like, he did this. He cured the blind. He didn't literally cure the blind.
Yeah.
He brought wisdom or something like that to a person. And then there's the other layer, which is like, is Jesus really a symbol of the sun? And these are his 12 months and whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
I've heard that too.
Very interesting.
It can be layered on layered on layered on layered.
It's just like the other, what do you say, prophets, you know? How they're very similar backstories, on paper, that is. So, again, not to get off topic from that, but, again, I would not say they come, like, morals come from that, you know? Good morals. They're already there. They're there, you know? It's how people express them, you know? And also, it's, I think it gets lost as far as, you're lost without this. It's not separate, okay? It's there.
Yeah.
It's not separate. I would say God is not separate from you or anybody else. It's you. The universe. I like that term that you use, you know?
Yeah. I look at it as a microcosm, macrocosm, as in everything. Everything.
Yeah.
Even if there's a multiverse, I define that as God. And then within each individual is a universe. That's
sure.
God. And then within
it's
that
like,
universe is this.
Yeah.
That's God. And it's just like a...
It's like, so like you can imagine like a little universe pops up like right here, right?
Yeah.
Like right here. Then there's yours, you know? Then there's, you can imagine like Earth, right? It's like its own, in a way. And we're all there, all communicating, giving content, experiencing things, internally, externally, no freaky, and so forth, you know? But when people say God is separate from you, it's very weird, you know? It's kind of contradicting from what you hear in the Bible, because to me, it's kind of blatant that it's some sort of like higher representation of yourself and others, you know, in everything.
Yeah, let me read this.
But I'm a woo-woo snowflake.
Grassroots says, Maxwell is a con man. He's garbage, easily debunked by historians and theologians. But you're right about symbolism. Any comment on that?
I don't know Maxwell enough. All I know is one of his students, maybe I could say that, or someone that worked with him.
Someone that brought him on, basically.
Michael Tessarian is basically a philosopher, and I agree with a lot of his theories and or how do I say that properly? A lot of explanations I would definitely agree with, you know. So I feel that's lacking. I don't know that much about Maxwell, though. I remember hearing him at one point in time, like referencing Maxwell a ton. So
I've seen...
I don't know if he's a con man. I don't know if Jordan Maxwell is a con man or not. I do not know.
I've seen small amounts of Maxwell.
I'll look into it.
He's more like a... I don't say Maxwell is, but like that type of conspiracy. It was almost just like a stepping stone
like
into
what?
philosophy.
Like what? Like
aliens,
like
historical conspiracy.
Yes, like David Icke.
Yeah, I consider those as like stepping stones into.
Yeah, to be fair, as far as historical conspiracies and all that, which makes it very interesting because I don't know. Just like the origins of Atlantis or the destruction of Atlantis, that's very. It depends on who you are, what you're interested in. But to me, it's interesting, you know. And it involves history. And it involves. Well, don't you ever think about, you know,
heavy
the
symbolism?
Theories? Well, yeah.
Heavy symbolism.
But,
he's using like
yeah.
old ancient texts to piece the story together.
Sure. And not only that.
Reference here, reference here.
And how the symbolism here connects to here. Like, you ever guys wonder what the symbolism here? It's in front of your faces all day long. It's out in front. These are ancient, he would say, you know? Which another thing is, again, the Atlantis thing is, you know, history is written by the winners, you know? But you ever wonder, like, what is the actual true history, you know? Back farther than we can fucking fathom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, which makes it interesting to me, because I don't know if he's a con man. So, you know, this is a fucking stretch here, but the whole lizard people thing, I found that fucking interesting as fuck. Now, I'm not saying the Queen of England's a lizard. I don't know. It sounds a little fucking far-fetched, if you know what I mean. But
imagine
there are ancient symbols.
Yeah.
Like,
imagine not being into like politics or any of this shit, and then first thing you stumble into is David Icke talking about reptilians and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck?
At
Somebody
first,
believes this?
I believe it was the reptilians things. I thought he meant it was basically, like, he was being literal, you know.
Yeah.
But at first I thought, well, maybe it's a metaphor, you know. Maybe he really means like lizard people as such as far as empty, the emptiness of a person, you know, no soul, you know.
Reptilian brain, that part of the brain that's, I think it's purely just fight or flight.
Yeah. So, get him going here.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if he's a con man. I do not know.
All right. In Islamic culture, this is from Grassroots too. In Islamic culture, it's moral to execute homosexuals. In Israel, it's not immoral to ethnically cleanse Palestinian people from their homelands. In China, during the one-child policy, it wasn't considered immoral to abandon their newborn daughters out of a preference for sons. Morality is different around the world, not the same.
Mm.
So
Who wrote that though?
So it doesn't all just come naturally.
I disagree. I would disagree.
I have no A button on my keyboard, so I'm struggling to type. You two should have me on to debate or discuss these questions with you. One day.
Skype.
One day.
I would disagree with that. You know.
Oh, I disagree with that too, for sure. And it appears to be relative, but let's look at what we have here. It's still the basic existential properties of a person. Let's see. Islamic culture, executing homosexuals. That sounds like fear and conditioning.
Sure. So it sounds like this. Someone saying
Israel ethnically cleansing Palestinian people. That sounds like fear and greed. These are all simple principles.
ignorance and corruption.
China, the one-child policy. That sounds like we're worried about whatever.
Overpopulation, whatever the fuck. I don't know. Here, look.
I think it's about
This is my
the
point.
number of what's it called? Reproducing, right? That's what it is.
Overpopulation.
Reproduction things.
Oh, that's right.
Which sounds like fear.
Here, it's like this, man. These things are these things are enforced, taught, influenced. They come from somewhere,
It's the basic math equation
people-
of ignorance and corruption.
people act
if you look
like-
at that
yeah.
and you really examine those, that's when you can see the morals start to fit in certain pockets, and you're like, okay, this can't just be relative because these guys are practicing the same things in
Sure.
different ways. There's different content surrounding them, but they're still expressing whatever it is, some form of corruption, right? I can kill 1,000 people by shooting them, or I could kill 1,000 people by taking all their crops away and they can't eat.
Yeah.
It's like it's still the same thing.
And not only
What's going
that,
on?
this too. It's as if these ideologies or morals were there from the beginning. Like, first of all, I don't know that, and I would protest to that idea because someone out there had to make this. Someone out there had to. Well, we're going to follow this. Whether it be Christianity, Judaism, or what would Muslim be?
Islamic.
Islamic. Yeah, I was gonna say Islam. Is that the correct term?
Islam by
Islamic, whatever. Or whatever. Someone out there decided to make these belief systems or groups. So I would say definitely somewhere out there, right? These things were already there, but due to ignorance and corruption, which is basically absent from good, these things happened, So I wouldn't say, see, they're different, okay? I'm like, yeah, but look, good is still there. It's there.
And in case you think this is just some simple concept of, well, just good is good, I'm telling you, if we dissected it, you'd be like, okay, I see the sophistication of this idea. It's not just saying, well, that's good and this is bad.
I took my body shots, I'm pretty sure. It's like, I could beat up Floyd. You sure?
Alright.
Very, very distinctive way of boxing, you know?
Grassroots says, disagree with what? Are you saying Christianity had no influence on our sense of right and wrong in the West?
I would, look,
Of
hold
course
on.
it did, but...
Look, yes. I'm not saying it doesn't have any influence on culture either. I'm sure it did. What I'm saying is, even if someone has an influence on you, right? Whether it be religion or belief system or your parents telling you to do this or do that, or whoever or whatever, I'm saying it's there naturally. Right and wrong is there naturally. Okay?
Let me add to that. You can learn who you are from, let's say, things you agree with just as much as with things you don't agree with. I explained it before, the learning by negation.
Yeah, it's like...
that innate feeling of something's off
yeah.
can tell you, push you towards what is right. If you listen to it, that is.
Sure.
So, let's say, not that I'm completely agreeing with you, but let's say Christianity has an influence on the Western culture.
With me or him?
Anybody.
You said you.
Him.
Did
You.
Did you ask him his gender? No.
Anybody.
I'm saying an influence.
Yeah.
Culturally.
If Christianity had an influence on the West,
In the West.
it would need people to innately consider that, like, this is the right thing. Now, if, let's say, Christianity says, kill thy neighbor instead of love thy neighbor, at some point, that innate thing is going to grow out. It's going to be like, this is wrong somehow. I get a bad feeling about this. Someone's going to fucking do it. It's going to, actually, a lot of people are going to do it. And in fact, the people that are going to let that internal whatever come out, they're going to be like, oh, fuck, there's others like me? It's like that type of thing going on. To where
And then, then people will start looking around, right? Kind of not after the self-investigation has been done, which is like, as you say, right?
the ego conditioning starts to fall
Yeah.
to the wayside.
And they let's say they come with the words self-investigation, shadow work, digging, right?
Yeah.
Then they can see, they see themselves, and then they can look outwardly, It's like it's not comparing, I don't mean that.
Yeah. Watch my video on MGTOW, masculine versus feminine. Maybe the picture's like a, blue for boy,
Yeah.
pink for girl type thing. I meant to set it up in like a yin-yang looking way. But I basically explain the sort of the layers of the psyche that the self has to go through.
I was gonna say.
And you'll see the negation
Yeah.
and addition. You can see how they play off each other.
Well, when that happens, right, then you can look on others, and you can see people who, or sometimes, very well possibly, or not far off from psychopathy,
Yeah.
As far as that saying, anybody home? Like, anybody there? Like, what's going on? Like, just empty.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there are people like that, but seemingly, it's like morally dead, Like, what are you?
Yeah. It's both the church. It's both. The church was right. Morality is written on the human heart, but it's informed. It's informed by our culture. And then, follow-up question: then why is morality different around the world? Obviously, culture must be a major factor. Once again, we don't think that morality is so different around the world. We think the expressions of it are different, the content.
Yes.
It's basically saying, like, if you could transplant yourself into a robot's body or something, right?
Yeah, I think I can.
The external things are different,
Sure.
but the you is still you.
Like this. Ready? Look. Ready? The tools in which we are given, indoor, are available to us. Maybe different, but they're the same to express.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Say that again.
Different parts of the world, different cultures, etc., languages, sounds, or maybe, again, images. Different tools, right? Different content.
Yes.
But same, you know?
Yes. Once again, you can line 1,000 people up and shoot them in the head, or you can take away all their crops and let them starve.
Right. Now,
it's like,
I would say
you
most
call
people,
those different morals,
right,
but
okay.
not really.
Now, I would say most people, based off of evidence, you know, what I see, are neutral. Now,
There you go. So I'm thinking of changing the words up, because morality is relative. It's on a spectrum.
oh, again,
Morality is
I
about
understand
the
that.
bad as much as it's about the good.
I know.
But goodness itself, as I define it, is just goodness.
I would say most people out
Objective
there,
goodness.
most people out there are neutral. But with that, right, comes with the room for either, you know, them finding goodness, finding it, meaning, well, there it is, it's already there, or being corrupted. What I mean by that is, well, their morals over here are shit, you know. Sounds like they let themselves be corrupted, you know.
Mm.
As far as some people, and then that whole thing is enforced tyranny onto other people, you know, which is, it's really tough to say that, well, that's them, that represents them. It's like kind of weird, you know, versus, well, you've been influenced by your not me necessarily, but could be other people, like your Christian values, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, but when we look at it specifically, you know, it's like, where does that come from, you know? I believe these things all come from a basic understanding of good and evil, right versus wrong, and they get expressed different ways, which is why it's very interesting to me whenever I see these things having a very similar backstory and or ideas, you know. And then sometimes these things may be translated very differently and or similar, and they can be taken advantage of due to people interpreting it in different ways, such as fundamentalists using it, whether it be into their favor in a negative way, or even atheists. Like, gosh, it's ridiculous. You should just not even pay attention to that. Ha ha ha. It's like, I don't mean to speak for all atheists, you know, but at the same time, we should address that, whether people understand the idea, not the idea, but what is good and evil. So that's what I would say. You know, I'm not saying it has no influence.
Here's a woo-woo example. As sort of woo-woo example. You almost look at it like a thought experiment, right? If you're saying that in what'd you say it was Orthodox, right?
Yeah,
Orthodox Church saying that it's that the innate goodness or whatever is written on the heart.
Mm-hmm.
I would go a step further and say that the heart wrote that. The heart wrote that it's written on the heart. Do you see the reflective thing going on there? Right?
Yeah.
You need certain things to exist, certain conflicts to exist in order to make a choice. By conflict, I don't mean arguments or anything like that. I mean conflict as in differentiation. Something is different from something else. You need the external content to exist, the external conflict, and then the heart has the tools to express in order to express it back to itself. The heart wrote that it's written on the heart. Does that make sense? It's
I see myself, but I don't see myself.
I see myself, but why am I talking to myself? There's a mirror right here.
Yeah.
Say, what the? Where did I leave off? Okay.
That's not how you're going to give Old Hickory all the money that you own.
Whereas that innate thing in the Aztec kingdom, nowhere to be found until the church stepped in with the Spaniards. I agree with you that we have something inside of us to tell us right from wrong, but without direction from an institution like the church, why do they execute homosexuals in Saudi Arabia? Why is it okay to rape women who are not properly covered? I hear you guys about the innate thing inside us, but we must be getting our signals crossed because I don't know why you're not understanding me.
I believe I do
Both
understand.
the Orthodox and Catholic. Okay, Orthodox and Catholic.
No, I believe I do understand, Maybe it's just the language. It's a little...
I understand, but once it's not.
It's not so much...
The external thing is an internal thing, is what I'm trying to say.
It's not
It's
so
the
much...
heart writing that
yeah.
the heart is valuable.
Again, it's not... Another thing, it's not... These things are set in stone. That's what they do. I'm not saying he's saying that. What I mean is, look, everywhere and anywhere,
I think I might nail this one. If you want to look at it. All right. I said the heart said. The heart says.
I said the heart
that it's
said,
written
but
on the heart.
I said the heart said it's written on the heart, but the heart said it's written on me. I see myself. I see myself.
But so the moral principles in the Orthodox and Catholic, right? Orthodox and Catholic churches were started here, written on here, and then I follow. It reflects back.
Mhm.
That's where I follow them. That means they starts with purely innately. Anyone else is, after all these years gone by, it's probably conditioning now.
Heavily.
It's probably conditioning now after all these
Heavily.
years. But the original guys are like, we can't do this. We can't.
Such
have
as,
people
right?
telling people.
Which I wasn't gonna say that
Or
specifically.
people who look at it in that way.
I was gonna say it right. So when we look at these things, right? It's the symbolism is.
Hold on, let me answer this. Okay, so you agree it's both internal and external. It comes from inside of us and from the outside. And from the outside in. But the outside in is just the reflection of the in. So it's already here.
If you would just let me say it, I think it'll help.
I'm shooting a beam of light at a mirror. And the mirror, it's not really the mirror shooting light at me. It's this shooting light.
If this helps, you could call it an internal mirror, even though you can see it. If it's out in front of me, I can see it. Which is why I would call it it looks like you need to do the work, as in the shadow work. Self-reflection, mirror. You smile in the mirror, that fucker's gonna smile back at you. And that means a lot. A lot of people don't understand. Which is left to be interpreted. What I mean by it's gonna smile back at you.
You could just say, the guy was like, yeah, I'm handsome. They're working on that in here.
Yeah.
And outside in the world, every woman they see, like, yeah, she's checking me out. She's checking me out too.
Yeah.
That girl's checking me out.
Mhm.
That dude's jealous because of how good I look. His girl's looking at
Let me
me.
do some push-ups in the streets, guys. Subscribe.
That's a good example of the reflection thing. Granted, that's a low beam of light.
Yeah.
It's pure ego-ness.
Now,
Or you could be right, and then that's interesting.
whether it gets lost is the question. Do you let a whole society, a community of culture that has been negatively influenced? Quite possibly. That's everywhere and anywhere. Do you let that influence you in a negative way?
And
You let yourself become conditioned.
at the same time, well, are you meaning like kids too?
Well, I
Because
said
sometimes
I said- I
parents
said
can
it-
be very aggressive and say you have to do this and think these ideas, which is why
understand. Trust me.
which is why a lot of these ex-Christian atheists
Sure.
are so fucking
Disgruntled.
aggressive. They're so
Disgruntled.
aggressive
Sure.
about religious
Here's the
things.
thing. I can understand that.
It's like you ruined my
I can
life.
I can empathize with that.
I
Right.
understand, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like this. Like James, you have to go to church. You have to. Now you're forcing something upon me, which I do not want to. Nor do I even have an idea of what it is. It's kind of messed up. We have this neutral. We all are neutral, right? But essentially, it's like this, and it's not really like this, but you can imagine and picture it this. We have a blank canvas,
Mm-hmm.
and the beautiful thing about the canvas is we can put whatever the fuck we want on it, whatever, any color imaginable, anything and whatever. But now someone's taking your canvas, which is essentially you, you're gonna use these colors, and you're gonna make this. I'm gonna help you. They grab your hand, dip you into colors, right? Colors that they want. They begin. See, now you can't change it. See?
Yeah.
That's what it's like in a way.
Until you break it down to the fundamentals of what it is.
All these things are taught, you know?
I say we go for like 5 more minutes.
Go for 5 more minutes then. What's wrong with you? Unbelievable.
All right.
You'll get beheaded for that.
5 more minutes, guys. I got rat beef to get to.
I'm hungry, man.
Grassroots says, okay, I get you, but you're really getting into the weeds here. I get the reflection metaphor. And it's the dark side of the moon, man. It's hard to see. Because I'm trying to use words to explain something that's was born without words.
There are some
if that
things...
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, and grass without roots, right? Am I saying that right? Grass, I think you said grass without roots. You said the grass roots.
No, that's his name.
Okay.
It's Andrew Jackson's name.
Got you.
It's like $20
AJ?
bills.
AJ? $20 bills. Call them 20. But again, there are some things where if someone says, tell me, you know, and there's some things where I can't tell you. I can't tell you, you know? Like, how do I know? I can't tell you.
And it's almost like you need...
Which is why it's like this.
Yeah.
If I tell you, build the creation which you were meant to do. You know, build it. Here, I got you. Build the thing that you were meant to build. What do I build? Well, I can't tell you that, nor could I.
Yeah.
All I can do is this, right? I can give you the tools, which is basically anything, right? Anything, but I give you the tools, you know?
Yeah.
That's what this is. It's very tough to give you, well, just tell me, like, again, I can see how fucking, like, horrible I was. Just tell me, man. Describe it. It's like, it's tough because this is me. This isn't you, you know?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm describing right now, right? Build what you were meant to build. But it's different for you than it is to me. We're all meant to build something, figuratively speaking.
And
now, I give you
not
the
only
tools.
that-
Tools as in content, words, sounds, meaning, understand meaning. Very similar, right? But there is a level of absolute where it's, this is it. This is goodness. You know what I'm saying here?
Yeah, and it's almost like you have to, which is why these religious texts and stuff, that's why they're so interesting, because if you want to talk about these sophisticated ideas, it's almost as if you need your own language for it. It's like we have to agree on that this word means this in order to talk about this spiritual idea.
Again, but it transcends. That's why it's such an important thing. It transcends the word itself into greater meaning, rather than something just regulatory as the definition of it means this.
But we don't all do that as individuals. It's the person who came before us whose reflection influences our morality. No.
Say that again?
We don't all do that as individuals.
I doubt that.
We don't
No.
all.
No, that's not true. No. You do.
It's the people who came before us whose reflection influences our morality. I would say, once again, it's almost like you have to create your own language with it. Yes, you're right on morality. If you're saying morality is a spectrum of things, of here's the bad end and here's the good end. But there is a higher, pure goodness, whatever you want to call it, as the thing that's dictating what the scale is in the first place, or the spectrum is in the first place. And our moralities are small principles until we reach ultimate goodness. Yes, those are sort of pattern recognition, also conditioning, also influence from the past, from the present, from the potential future. Like, shit, if I just throw this bowling ball off this giant building, it might hit someone. Like, it looks at all the time. It's a whole bunch of things factoring in. You asked why about Jared's beliefs. Because if immigration country continues at its current rate, it will become mathematically impossible for the right to win the presidency in less than 20 years. In less 30 years.
That's not what I meant.
In less than 30 years, white people will become a minority. So his fear is that all the anti-white propaganda coming out of the media and academia.
I got you. Okay, that sounds like I'm seeing a lot of revenge politics around here. I have to survive. I have to sustain. I don't mean that, okay? That's like a red flag to me, seeing that. It's like, dude, why? You know what I mean? Why do you care about this? Like, why do you care about surviving?
Yeah.
That's what I would ask. And I'm telling you, man, when that question's thrown out there like that, a lot of shit can get exposed. In a good way and in a bad way, you know?
I think he's going to go in the direction of, the world will be better if we, have a fair amount of white people around.
Yeah.
Right? Because genetics are determining certain behaviors in the first
I
place.
would fucking disagree with that 100%. Not only revenge politics, identity politics, all that stupid shit. All of that, you know? When we see things through a political spectrum, we're like purposely neglecting something that makes us, much more.
Yeah.
It's very annoying to see that,
Also,
and then we can come to the idea that there is no self. I'm like, you're wrong. Not saying he said that, someone said that, someone else said that, I'm like, that's because you see things. Yeah, it's because you see things through a political spectrum.
not saying there is, but he sees things through a deathbed science perspective.
Well, again, political
We haven't
spectrum.
found a self. There is no self.
Political you know what I mean by political spectrum. I believe that to be some sort of term which is basically regarding, you see, these percentages basically say that they're just morally not right. It's like, what the fuck? What? Shit like that, Shit like saying these percentages basically mean this is the truth. No, it doesn't. The truth isn't absolute. Percentages mean most likely, and those can be skewed whatever way possible, Even studies, man. Studies can be put out there just to support my theory and help me build my castle of my idea. It's really weird and it's really creepy if you really look at it. How people can build these things up. So,
I
don't mean to veer off, but
I have some certain theories about why the mainstream media is doing certain things when it comes to race and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
One, I think they're trying to condition white people to be whatever because they're the ones that think this type, not white people, but a certain type of white person in their minds is like, this is the enemy, this is the bad guy. We need to condition the public to dislike or fear this type of person.
You're the victim. You're the victim.
Yes.
And how many times have we heard this before? Remember Ryan Dawson debated that guy?
Which one?
Yeah, I'm talking about.
Fuentes? That one?
Something like that.
Oh.
Dawson debated him. We've, Stefan kind of reminds me of that, It's like, I'm the victim. I'm being silenced,
And yeah.
It's like, what are we doing here?
In my mind, the media, I don't know if they're going with anti-white. Once again, I think they're picking at an archetype. A certain type of person. And they'll only call out the Caucasian ones. Because they're probably afraid of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're trying to build up the other ones. And there's a lot of theories you can come out with. Obviously, we don't agree with, fucking ABC News and CNN and MSNBC or Fox News just as bad.
A lot of the major news networks.
PBS, whatever.
Mainstream media. Even some of the not mainstream media, such as Reddit. Guess what? Look into that. Look into Reddit, some of the stuff that's there. They'll purposely put things that go against the mainstream media, you know what I mean? Isn't that creepy?
Alright, last,
James Corbett. I'm gonna plug that dude in real quick, pause, man.
alright, last question. So where are the studies that dispute Jared's position?
Studies.
I'm not sure you need studies.
No, you
Once
don't.
again, it's hard to explain these type of things because people expect you to like, well, did you go in a lab and
Yeah, I got you. Ready?
study it? It's like I can explain these in a
Right here, right? We have two people disagree clearly, right? But they're both using the same thing, you know? By the same thing, I mean by, listen.
Less minorities is bad.
Yeah.
More minorities is good.
Think like this.
It's like, why are you looking at it that way?
Think like this,
Why
ready?
isn't it good
It's
people?
like an atheist debating a fundamentalist, you know? It's like, look, God's word is this. It's proof. See? No, it's ridiculous. Okay, that's just not logical.
Thus, God doesn't exist.
Yeah. And then you have someone kind of peering in, which I would say you both are kind of being silly here, and you know they're both using studies. Look, this is real. See, I'm telling you, I have studies say that this isn't real. Like, guys, you don't need studies to really have an idea of what to say here. You know.
Once again, the way he's looking at it crosses over in the philosophy because he seems to have an ideology in his mind.
Oh.
I'm not saying racist. I'm saying
No.
a fear of
Yeah.
oblivion.
Sure. That's what he said. He said oblivion. And here's the thing. It's the amount of evidence that we've seen, you know, that we have seen him say these specific things, right? And I can say it's an ideology, right? Because I hear him say your identity. And I remember when we watched that, it's like, you know, it's like I hit like the fucking like red button, like not like you're wrong. It's like okay, I heard him say identity now. He's talking about the self, the individual, you know? Specifically anybody, you know?
Yeah.
Which is why it's like, okay, now we gotta really listen to what he's saying specifically. Because now it's not only, it's these studies that say this. No, it's your ideology, you know? Which is why I would say, why are we so afraid of, you know, whatever?
Yeah.
Why are we so hell-bent on survival, you know? What's the reason? That's what I mean.
Are you?
It goes back to the Shapiro, you know? Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
You constantly saying, I think it's some sort of like ideology, religion thing, maybe, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, why is he so hell-bent on these, like telling the transgenders or whatever the fuck? Like, you're a man, you're a woman, you're a man, you're a man, you're a man, you're a woman, stop that. You're biologically a man, woman. It's like, you know?
Yeah.
Then we find out.
They're not enforcing laws in America.
No.
Or anything.
And then we find out he says something a little bit different, but it gives further evidence to support our theory that he's driven by fundamentalist views, you know?
Yeah.
And it's scary.
Or he's been raised
Yeah.
and just you like Ben. If you ever step outside the circle,
Yeah.
like you will disappoint a shitload of people. Your whole family.
He
all
basically
your
said
rabbis,
something. He basically
fucked.
is meshing his religious ideology with his political ideology.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat negating what's morally the right thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
And which is why I will keep saying it over and over again, right? It's almost as if, whatever scenario you're in, you know, it's like, here it comes. It'll happen eventually. So anybody and everybody will be in a ballroom one day dancing with someone or something, and they're going to see a dead body on the ground, and we'll see what happens, what they do. Now, whether they react to it like, oh my God, and they react to it, in a certain way, that's one thing. Now, whether they just ignore it, pretend they never saw it, that's the fucking part where it's like, shit, you know?
I almost always considered apathy more dangerous than hatred. Just lack of care seemed worse to me than I fucking hate you.
Well, again, ready? The way we react to the dead body, you know? And the dead body is basically some sort of scenario situation where it's tyranny, evil, and action. You know, not necessarily a person. The dead body, is supposed to represent something horrible, you know? something horrible just happened, you know? Now, whether they just, I don't care, they reacted to that. In other words, oh my god, what the fuck? How could this happen? You know?
Yeah.
Then there's, no, this ballroom's awesome. I love it. You know? Condition it, you know? Son, there's nothing wrong with this. This is normal. Don't worry about it. All right.
Let's get these last two comments and we're out of here. Ryan isn't as smart as he thinks he is. I'd smash him in a debate.
Ryan? Dawson?
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not saying he's like smart. I like
I think he's very good on geopolitical ideas.
No, I would,
especially when it comes to the
no,
Middle
yeah.
East. And
That's why I reference him whenever I'm talking about like geopolitical situations. You know, as far as ideology, he's lacking. You know,
the media says everyone is racist. If they support Trump, just Google anti-white headlines. You'll get tens of thousands.
I'm sure. Maybe.
He's looking at countries in which whites became a minority, like Africa and Haiti. Do you know what happened to Haiti? Haiti was like massive debt. I'm sure they just paid a corrupt leader, say, all right, go in and
hold on.
do these deals. You'll owe us a shitload of money. Then let's say a
This
legit
way.
guy comes in, like,
Let's say
now you owe us.
this way. I would.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Am I taking up your time?
Yes. I got rat beef to get to.
Well, right now I'm discussing the greater good, so that can wait. Okay. Anyway, I would highly recommend, that guy as far as geopolitical issues, right? As far as what's going on. Another thing which is I found it to be very interesting is John Perkins, economic hitman. That can explain a lot, a ton of shit. So I'll say this really quickly. Haiti, right? Let's say there's some sort of government or system going on right now, or not at that time, right? Hypothetically speaking, right? So something's going on, whether it's good or bad. It could be a good thing or a bad thing, right? The leader by either people elected them, or it could be a tyrant. Who fucking knows? But let's say it's a rich place. Okay? So,
Resource-wise.
yes. Resources. A lot of people can make money off of it. Anyway, let's say a former government comes along. No, my bad. Corporations come along. They want to make deals with this political leader, Political leader. And if they comply, good. He gets richer. The rich get richer. But also the rich resources can make other people richer, such as the corporations. They can take advantage of that poor now and or will become poor place. So can the political leader be corrupted, or is he already corrupted? And not only that, right? So let's say they say no, whether they're corrupt or not. They say no, I don't want to do this, right? So then maybe things start happening, right? Maybe suddenly you start seeing propaganda about how he's a tyrant, whether it's true or not. He's a tyrant. You start seeing things happening within the country itself, riots maybe, out of nowhere, riots,
Controlled opposition.
controlled opposition, right? And then we start seeing in the other country, right, that these companies are either linked or tied to, that say they need regime change. It's really bad. We got to change it, whether it's true or not. It's the intentions that matter. So then we see the military start rolling in. They take out that political leader that did not want to comply with whatever deal that was presented to them in the first place. And then a new leader, a puppet, is put in there that complies, that gets it going, and boom. That place is still poor, it's still shit, right? But it's so rich that they can make a profit off of it, okay? And it's really weird how these things keep happening all of a sudden, right? You keep hearing throughout history, As far as U.S. government history, regime change, regime change, regime change. Tyrant, we got to go in there, we got to take him out. Da, 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 da. It keeps happening. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Why is it okay for Japan to remain Japanese and India to remain Indian, but all of Europe must be okay with becoming a minority? It's called whatever it is, you be organic. That's all you need to do. Honestly, be yourself as individuals, and obviously individuals make up the collective, and then you will have your whatever. So you'll be like, I don't feel like going anywhere. So other people are like, I want to explore the world.
Yeah. Maybe.
Be yourself, follow your bliss. You'll figure that out. That is it for us. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Another one. They killed every white person in Haiti. And how about South Africa? There are examples too. Why would anyone want to be a minority? Well, you figure out what minority is a political term. So, obviously, well, if you're just making distinctions on people on what they look like,
Yeah.
that seems sort of a farce, but I'll look into this shit.
Here's the point I was going to get at, too, just really quick. Let's say we do separate, you know? Eventually, right? We're going to get down to this. It's just going to keep, I believe it's going to keep happening based off of the logic that's behind it. Well, James, you know, we found out that the blonde hair and blue eyed people are better off living by themselves, you know. We believe that you darker haired people, you darker haired and darker pupil people should live over here. Yeah. And then it becomes a whole, well, you know, it's these things that we find to separate ourselves, you know? Like, let's see, I'll connect this to here. Here we go. Here's a scenario. I found it. It's like, no, man. I know that didn't sound correct, you know, as far as, I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, we find things to separate ourselves, like, as far as, like, you're this, I'm that. See how clearly distinctive it is?
Red Sox and Yankees.
Yeah.
Kaboom. Alright, that is it. Hit subscribe if you feel like.
Any more questions, you can just comment
Yes.
under the video.
The
This is a chat.
the grassroots of old Hickory. Blessings, my friend. Good questions. Plenty of questions. We like that here.
Look how choppy that looks.
Hopefully you subscribe, man. When we go live, you can ask us anything.
See? It's like more.
Now that's the Fresh Prince. It's like, you're dreaming. Alright guys, peace out, and give this video a thumbs up.